Good morning, peasants, and welcome in. It's going to be another lovely day at the tavern. I already have a warm-up planned up, and it's actually going to be a full-fledged request because I totally forgot about this thing, and it's time to sculpt it. Okay, but first, hello, my name is Mia, and I sculpt 3D printable miniatures for a living. That can be monsters, creatures, terrain, really anything you'd see in a tabletop game, which, if you're familiar, that can cover just about anything. There is a setting and a campaign and a module for literally anything and everything out there. Actually, speaking of, a while ago, I backed that Kickstarter for Avatar: The Last Airbender to be converted to a tabletop game, and I'm starting to get more confident playing and stuff, and I think that's going to be the first game that I DM. I'll let y'all know, because obviously I'm going to play with people that are from Discord. So yeah. Alright. What is next? Oh yes, I stream Monday through Friday, and I start around noon Eastern time. As early as 11, as late as 1. Today is 1:15 instead of 1, because Ricky, my husband, started cooking omelets, and he very clearly was like, do you want an omelet? And I said no. And then it was like 12:55, and I'm like, oh my god, this smells so good. Can you please make me an omelet? So that's why I was 15 minutes late. Okay. Am I really late though? Because I make the schedule. Okay. Let's get into our little social things. This is all in the Discord. If you don't want to miss out, or either answer the questions in the chat or just join Discord. Today's question is, what is the most OP character build you've ever seen? This could be in D&D, Pathfinder, Gloomhaven, whatever flavor you want, honestly. So far in the lead, or I haven't updated yet, but I voted for other because I played a game with someone, I can't remember the name of the class. It was like a seer or a psychic. I can't remember what it was. It's not completely homebrew, like it is part of a book or something, but he was a magic user and he could fly and he was totally broken. He was super funny. By any chance, if he ever watches the stream, shout out to Johnny. You wrecked that campaign. That was so much fun. Also, ripped my poor DM Walker that had to deal with it. It was great. All right. That is a question of the day. Thank you, Aloha, for creating these, because I, for some reason, hate doing questions of the day. Aloha's doing a great job with it. I like answering. I don't like writing them. All right. Next up is the freebie. Today is a baby Tarask. Hey, new sub. Thank you. Zazar. Why can't you guys ever be named like John? It's always like some name that I'm like, how do I say that? Okay. Anyway. Baby Tarask. This is a 3D printable model, and I release a new one pretty much every day. I usually take weekends off from free models because, you know, I do take days off. But Monday through Friday, you can expect a new one every day. You can download it at this link on my Patreon, which I haven't actually showed you guys in a hot minute. So here is that post. Just scroll on down to the bottom. Bam. There are those files. All right, I think that's just about everything. Our Kickstarter is launching very, very soon. It's going to be awesome. There's 40 models and they are resin and FDM compatible. If you have a Bamboo Lab printer particularly, you are in luck because we share the 3MF files. So it's going to be great. It's going to be click and print. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to do a special stream next Friday for two reasons. One, so this upcoming Monday will be the launch of our Summer Art Festival, hosted by Aloha, our lovely Tavern Knight and Mod. And it's pretty much just going to be, it's not a competition. It's just like something to inspire you to create a little bit every single day. So creative prompts coming soon. That'll be on Monday. And then Friday is when this Kickstarter launches. I have a really special, super secret, not secret stream. There's secret surprises coming in that live stream. You won't want to miss it. So keep an eye out for that. All right, I think that's all of the housekeeping items. Let's go straight into... Oh man, we have almost 20 people here already. Awesome. Thank you guys. Hello, hello. Did that already. Warm up. All right. Let me scroll through here, make sure there's no questions and cool stuff. John Tavern. Torben mentions that in 5e artificers are way OP. That was another member we had in our party. Shout out to Lori. And yeah, she kept building like mechanical panthers and stuff, and it was a disaster. It was great. Aiden said, ooh, what kind of monster we're working on today? This is actually from yesterday. This is my plague spreader. This poor girl, Megan, she asked me for like just a normal like zombie plague spreader from Van Richten's guide. And I was like, what if I made an original monster that's horrifying? So my idea is that this orb meatball is like plague and pestilence, and that he can take sections off and literally grab onto them and throw them. So that was yesterday. I just thought he was a cutie patootie, so I wanted to have him greet you guys for today. But that is not what we're working on. Oh, Loa said, Mia, can we stop acting cool and say how cool the M3DM Shadow was? Yeah, so Rodolfo and... Okay, so first it was Shane. Shane, Ian, and Rodolfo are all Maxon trainers, so they teach people to use ZBrush and they live stream on the Maxon channel. They're all extremely talented. If you're not familiar with any of those names, just go to that channel and check them out. They are incredible. And so Rodolfo Silva, full name, was live streaming today, so I kind of jumped in there. I was like, hey, like just got the beginning of that stream, but I wasn't able to finish it because he's streaming right now. But he recognized my username because he's been hanging out the last couple days in chat, and he gave me a very, very nice, warm shout out, and that was very kind of him. So, and because I wasn't on camera, I got to react however I wanted, so I got to sit there just being like, it was great. All right. Oh, goodness. All right. Scrolling through, I don't see any other questions, but thank you guys all so much for being here. A lot of familiar faces, or I guess names. Can't see you guys. All right, let's get into today's warm-up. And you guys are gonna laugh because you're like, Mia, you don't accept requests like this. And I'm like, I know. Listen, this was early in the request board, and this specific Patreon supporter, their name is Newman X, definitely their real name, and they're so nice. And so they asked for this really simple model, and I was like, you know what? This isn't what I do, but I don't care. I'm accepting it anyway. Here is today's request. Again, I'm making it just a warm-up because it's not a full-blown character. Newman X says, I just had a friend ask me if I can reproduce this, and I thought, here's my request for you. Someone with your skill could do it with their eyes closed. Crying, smiling face. It's a little tree, Christmas tree topper. It is a dove. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can do that. All right. I know it's not a full character. Whatever. I just knew this would be a fun little thing. So that's what we're doing for the warm-up. Me now would totally probably say no to this request because it's really not tabletop. But it's just a cool little thing. So I have some other references here of actual burbs, and we're going to sculpt this in the next 15-20 minutes. It's a great warm-up. So let's get started. Ray says, Mia kicking her feet, and giggling after the shout out. 100%. 100%. All right. What was I doing? Oh, and we're hanging out today, still in the Creative Summer Kickoff. That's the thread for this week. If you guys have any questions for happy hour or references or memes or good stuff, just put it in there. That is your space for peasants to hang out and be merry. All right. It's dove tree topper time because you guys never know what I'm going to work on. We went from a plague spreader to Christmas time. All right, got a skin shade. Let's kind of change the color on this. I'll go with kind of like a silvery blue. And we're going to sculpt this from scratch because it's just a burb. I say it's just a burb as if I don't have a really hard time sculpting birds. Birds, snakes, they're so sensitive. All right, so we're going in with a block out here. I just have a couple basic shapes, and I'm pretty much going to copy this more or less and then put my own flair on it at the end. Every time there is a significant new shape to deal with, I add a new subtool. We're going to make this all the same color because it's supposed to be a little statue. Creating that little beak right now, and I'll use ZBrush in half to lower that topology to kind of clean it up. See how blobby that is? And like, ooh, that's nice. That looks like a beak. I'm gonna do my best to not overthink this one and just let it be a simple little dude. Because the bread and butter of what makes this model cool is going to be the wings. And the tail, I guess. All right, I got actual birds I can look at here because this angle is hard to recreate. I got this really pretty puffed out chest, so we'll create that, and it kind of swoops into this shorter body. All right, cool. And then from the front, it just kind of tapers. No legs. No legs for this bird. I might create some little feet. All right, we're gonna create those sweeping wing shapes. I can create it from scratch or I can grab my own wing, but we're making it from scratch today. Let's go. I'm gonna bring in a mesh balloon for this. So I'm holding down Command, grabbing, I need to like really hide my signs. I'll mess with that later. Anyway, I'm changing my masking brush type to mesh balloon, and we're gonna just witcha, kind of create that shape right there. Bam. It's a little strong, a little intense. We're gonna go to this side view here and just crush that. And now I can go ahead and Dynamesh and refine this shape a touch more. Keep in mind, the requester was so sweet. Numenac said, someone with my skill could create this with their eyes closed. Very sweet. I beg to differ, but here we are. It's burb time. Ray says, I'm hoping she uses twist for the tail. You know it. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Twist is so satisfying. It's such a fun thing. I'm really getting better at using all kinds of different ZBrush tools and just cool stuff in general. All right, I'm gonna go zero mesh in half. Again, we're kind of cleaning up this mesh here. All right, it's looking like the thing, roughly. This bird, though, has a very clear neck, and mine doesn't. So let's go ahead and create that neck. It looks just like a little horn on top of its head, which I'm finding really funny. All right, there we go. And now let's create this tail. For the tail, I'll just append a cylinder here, cylinder 3D. Roughly get it to the right size, and then of course, Dynamesh. All right, so this is kind of like the sweeping arc here. Again, this is where I'm gonna start kind of taking my own artistic liberties. Doves have this really beautiful fanned out tail shape, and that doesn't really get shown off here. So I'm gonna go ahead and exaggerate that a bit. All right, looking good. This twisty shape, though, is why this can work as a Christmas tree topper, so I need to remember that, and that I'm not just sculpting a bird. And here's the lovely twist moment. This is using the modifier in 3D Gizmo. Come here. So I'm probably gonna keep this as the base shape, and then maybe I'll make it a little more tail feathery. All right, it's really just one swooping arc, so I guess we're not gonna get too crazy with the twist here, are we? Well, that did a lot of work for us. I'm gonna build up that twisted edge with my standard brush just so I don't lose track of it. And then we're also gonna add more volume to this side. Sweet. And that means right here needs to be hollow. That way it actually will fit on the top of a Christmas tree. Again, I'm achieving all of this just by using the standard brush. I say it all the time, but when in doubt, the answer is the standard brush. There we go. Aloha says, wait, do we know what is the main request today? And Ray mentions, Aloha, if you don't know, then no one does. You know, I have my request board public. It's not hard to find. You guys can find it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But yes, it is. No one knows technically right now what it is, but it's very findable. All right, those are rough shapes there. We don't have the same beauty and grace as the reference quite yet, but we're off to a decent start. I say check my work. I'll just drag this piece over here, and then we'll just use see-through mode. And see how close we got. Not bad. I got pretty close to those shapes. They're a bit more subtle. I didn't quite get this little indentation here, so let's go ahead and just smush that around with the move brush. It's not showing up perfectly symmetrical in the image because cameras, you know, we see things with perspective, which means the closer an object is to you, the larger it gets. And that's what's happening with this camera view here. If you want a perfect reference to exactly copy, you want something with zero perspective, also known as like orthographic. All right, that's good enough. And I just want the rough shapes and volumes to be lined up. Looks like the head on my little bird's actually too small. Let's scoot that up, scale it up. All right, and then from here, it's about making it actually look aesthetically pleasing. Easier said than done. All right, we got the rough shapes. It's time to get those textures in. We're gonna subdivide yeah, we're gonna subdivide first. So I kind of hesitated there because this has a volume scooped out on the sides I could achieve with my standard brush like that. But I think I'm gonna just detail it first and then I'll go through with the secondary forms there. Ray says, it's therapeutic to copy models and orthographic. Yes. And then Sater says, you're orthogonally graphic. Sater, are you tired today? You're giving me tired vibes. It's almost weekend. Assuming that your weekend would even be restful. You know what? I'm going to turn on symmetry on both sides so I don't have to sculpt this twice. Even though the back of a wing would usually look different, we're not going to worry about that because this is just a nice little ornament. So I'm going to turn on my Z-axis symmetry as well by going to my transform menu. So now, check it out. There's a line on both sides. All right, here's that rough shape there. Kind of just like a little construction line almost. Yeah, it's good enough. And at the very end, we'll go through and kind of pull out these little feather sections. I'm going to use the clay brush to start building up this volume. Sweeter. And now time for wing lines. This one has a lot of feather lines. I wanted to get something similar without getting too dense. Aiden says, hey Mia, I was showing a friend of mine your work and they're wondering for when you did your sculpts, how would you accept a more stylized character request? Say more of an anime style. It's just not really what I do. Is it what I would, how would I go about it or if I'd request it? I don't know. I don't know if I would. Probably not. I'd probably say no just because it's so different than what I sculpt and therefore sell. And I don't know if people on Patreon would necessarily want something that looks like it just came off of a 2D screen. It's a fun challenge for me. I like doing them for sure. But I probably wouldn't. More often than not, I find requests like that are just asking me to, like, it's like low-key IP infringement too. I'm like, you're not fooling me. I have done anime-inspired outfits though. Here, I even call it just anime-inspired. If you are super into anime, you're going to recognize this character. I'm not, so I don't know who this character is. Yeah, female human rogue, anime inspired. And then here is that character. You can kind of tell it has some of those elements in that kind of classic sailor outfit. There is the render for it. So yeah, if it's a request like this, where I can kind of like, I have a bit more freedom and I can just translate that into this more semi-realistic look. Oh yeah, I totally would do it. Again, I can't remember what this character, who she is from. Because it's not an outright copy by any means. It's just like a translation into my style. I'm sorry if that answer was vague. You're welcome to be like, okay, so would you accept it or not? My answer is maybe, but probably not. Unless, well, I mean, if it's your friend, Aiden, they're probably actually pretty cool. So I need to keep that in mind. Maybe. Maybe. You can always DM me what they can DM me what they'd want to request, and then I'd let them know if I'd actually accept it or not, in case they don't want to spend the money and then find out that I just say no. But that being said, if you guys ever do join my Patreon and you do request something that I say no to, which this has never happened actually, you don't lose your spot. I would just be like, I would suggest, hey, how about this version of it, or here's something I would accept. I would still work with you. It wouldn't just be like, haha, you're SOL. I would never do that. All right, we're getting some nicer shapes here. Fruity, hashtag exposed, hashtag grilled. Alo says, those feathers from the reference are basically fabric folds. They are. It feels weird to sculpt it like this, but I'm having fun. All right, I'm gonna scoop out this shape here. I'm gonna turn off the Z symmetry because I don't want it to be as blobby on the back here. So I'm gonna use my trim dynamic brush to smooth this out. Give it a nicer, smooth touch there. And then use my sander brush to start bending these wings. And I'm also going to put a small bend on this. So I'm going to center my 3D gizmo by clicking this little location dude, and then click on the gear and bend arc. There's some drama, some beauty. All right, next up, we're gonna kind of leave the head alone. It's kind of a simpler shape, but we'll kind of start creating this little bit of like fluff almost. Add some more resolution to the body and then creating this kind of texture. Normally I would do like feathers kind of like this, but this is like a ornament statue thing. So in that case, we're going to turn off symmetry and use the standard brush. I'm telling you, standard brush, it's always the answer. I'm going to lower my focal shift so that way the lines appear a little more harsh almost. And then we're going to kind of just pile up some textures here. What? Oh, I see. I see. They're all long shapes. It's like noodles. Noodle chest. All right, and we can define those shapes just a touch more by using the damn standard brush. You guys always make fun of me for saying damn standard. I'm not saying damn, like I'm not swearing. It's literally DAM standard because the guy who made this version of this brush, his name was Damien. And I'm not going to call it Damien Standard. Maybe I will. Actually, that's hysterical. Damien Standard. Oh, man. Then we go with inflate or not. And then one more time with the standard brush. Not Damien Standard. Normal standard. Hello says, don't full name the poor brush. Oh my gosh, like when your parents are pissed at you and they say your full name. My dad never did that. It was just Mia. It was terrifying. It's a short name. Paint says, may I ask why the feathers are not separate in this one? Oh, because I'm making an ornament. This is heathen sculpting for me. This isn't how I do anything normally. That's why it's a good warm-up. I can't help myself. We are going to add some like secondary textures on these. And you can have the wings be one piece. You don't have to have each feather as a separate piece by any means. Why are you behaving strangely? All right, and then for this, we'll kind of have that same effect where I just spiral this shape. There we go. I should have put the lines on before I twisted it, but this isn't a huge deal. But you can do your like these detail lines before you apply a taper. That is the best way to do it. All right, we're just about at the end of our doors open here, and we got this whole little ornament done. Something very different compared to what I normally do. But it was a lot of fun. All right, you're gonna flip it over to the bottom because this is something functional. It's going to be a Christmas tree topper, so we wanna make sure this is a nice cylinder shape so you can stick it on top of your tree. All right, next up, we're gonna merge everything down and blend any of the more unsightly seams we have left here. Merge down, merge down, merge down. Sweet. Make it that kind of bright white. It is kind of pretty. And now Dynamesh. So you Dynamesh, it actually looks really pretty, Dynamesh in my opinion. With a higher resolution Dynamesh, I can get rid of any of this kind of weird blending right here. Now I'll make a couple adjustments just to make it a little more aesthetic. Actually, I dyna matched that at a little too low of a resolution, got a little too blurry. So I'll just increase the resolution and do it again. There we go. This was a fun little bit of practice. Aloha is complaining about Reaper. It's just a mod fight, don't worry about it. Aloha said, guys, Reaper smacked me this morning. It was a brutal attack. It was deserved. Aloha, one, you're literally in my mentorship program. Like, come on, don't be shy. Ask me questions. Aloha was apparently shy, asking me a question about how to scale minis in 28mm. And I'm like, that's a great question. I can show that off in happy hour. So that's what we're going to cover in happy hour, along with what other shenanigans and student work I have to review. This funny little bird head. Nope, don't get too detailed, Mia. Not the point of this model. Well, I say that looks damn near exactly the same as our reference, and that was what we set out to do. So, neat. Neato. Alright, we're going to decimate this down to, we'll say just 50,000 points, and then I'll share this with them later. How tall is a tree topper normally? I have no idea. Ray says, can you blame him? Mia is scary. I'm not. Sater says, what do you mean your dad never full named you? Mia is your full name. No, it's like Mia K. Benzine. Ma'am, miss, get over here right now. Like that kind of thing. You never been full named as a kid? Rudy says, I got full named by my mom when I'd be in trouble. First, middle, and last. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Aloha said, Reaper was telling me to be braver, to advertise myself, and ask for the help needed. Yes to both of those. Aggressively. Sater says, well, Mia Tanica, it depends on the height of the tree. Don't make me mute you. Reaper said, Mia's disappointed mom is scary. I don't feel like I've ever done that on stream. You guys have never disappointed me. Alright. So yeah, this was the warm-up today. We made an ornament. Which, mine looks a little different. Mine's a little more tapered because I think this little booty moment's kind of weird. Try to make it a little more elegant. Pretty good. Boop. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this into Mesh Mixer, and I'm going to make it it's just inches tall instead of miniature scale tall. Stater says, actually, it was supposed to be pronounced Neotonica, Nika. It's not a real name. I'm going to pronounce your fake name however I want. Your fake name for me. Therefore, I own it. So I can especially call it whatever I want. Alright, this is falling apart. So this is a normal mini, the 28mm scale. I'm going to go over this in more detail during happy hour for our lovely Tavern Knight and Mod Aloha. And also my other students are interested in this too. But it's like how I have things to like correct scale or whatever. When you're measuring minis, it's really important that it's from their foot to their eye level is 28mm, roughly. That's 28mm scale, which is supposed to resemble a 6 foot tall man. That's the exact comparison. So if you had like a really lithe, shorter female elf, she wouldn't be 28mm from foot to eye level, she'd be like 26. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be an exact science, but you get the idea. So you can hold down Command to grab that foot and then stretch up to the eyeball, and there you go. That's mine's 29.9 even. You can be a little on the tall side, a little on the short side. That's just what 28 millimeter means. So if you hear 32 millimeter scale, then it just means that this exact measurement from foot to eye level, 728, is 32. You have to be careful though, because what if like your character is like slouching, or what if they are laying down? Like then I have other tricks I can show you guys to keep that scale correct. All right. I don't know millimeters because I am American. So let me go from inches to millimeter. Transform. We'll go with like 5 inches tall. That sounds about right. Cool. Tree topper. Dove. Christmas. Tree topper. I don't even think this is going to make it on my Patreon release. I'm just going to DM this to that guy and be like, hey, here, enjoy. Cool. Multiply by 25.4. I know what, guys, I know. 25.4 millimeters to an inch. Yes, I know. But I'm not going to multiply 25.4 by 6 in my head. If you guys can do that, great. Good for you. I cannot. All right, let me clean up my downloads folder really quick. I don't need my plague spreader. I don't need just random OBJ. I'm not done with the snow serpent yet, so that can stay there. All right, warm up is complete. We're moving right on into Tavern Keeper's Craft, and we can kind of talk more about what normally happens around here. Today's Tavern Keeper's Craft is so open-ended, I am worried. It is from Aubrey, who is a hoot. Aubrey has supported me on Patreon for a couple years now, and now I have a D&D game where I play with them every Saturday. And damn it, they are so funny. They're one of those people that they're just like effortlessly funny, you know what I mean? Oh god, they're so much fun to play D&D with. Okay. Welcome to the Tavern Keeper's Craft. Tavern Keeper's Craft is where I take Patreon requests, usually for D&D, so maybe it's their player character, the big bag evil guy, or a particular tree they want in their campaign. And they ask me, hey Mia, this is my request, go model it. Sometimes I give reference images, usually not. Maybe it can be as detailed or as little detail as they want. For example, here's a character that I made earlier this week. This is a dark elf rogue. Bam, and that's what we made. Today's request is extremely open-ended. I would like help from the peasants. That's you. Aubrey says, I usually try to give like a big, grand, opulent description, but nah, fam. Mountain climber, which is insane. This is so not Aubrey-like at all. For context, Aubrey's last request was also a bit vague, and it was about like a hunt, like a ranger that gets their own ingredients. So I made a little mouse that is jumping forward with a frying pan. Yeah, this model is so much fun. This was also an Aubrey request that was a little more open-ended. It wasn't just a 2-word request. Today we just got mountain climber. I am half tempted to sculpt a goat and just make like a really detailed like war ram. That would be cool. But yeah, I have no idea. D&D, but mountain climber. Go nuts. Let's go. I'm going to put this request in our chat and pin it. If you guys have references or just cool things that you want to share, do help me out here. Please do so. We're hanging out under project references in the Creative Summer Kickoff. Upload failed. What do you mean? It's just a screenshot. Go. Whatever. The request is mountain climber. So I guess I'm going to create like a ranger. I feel like that's the class that would best fit a mountain climber. But it also could be a rogue, you know, something with high dex. I don't know. Satyr, oh sure, now you know. Grimnir really likes the goat idea. How about a Goatfolk? Oh, Empress is reading my mind. Goatfolk. Goatfolk. Fuck. Ray says, so between Aubrey and Ricky, Mia just doesn't get to be funny. To be fair, the bar wasn't very high for me to start with. Although it says, I think the fact they are so open and letting you cook means we should do something really cool and out there. Yeah, I can do that. Why won't this upload? Why are you being silly? All right, I'm just gonna type it out. Today's very detailed request from Aubrey. I'm gonna ping them. Let's go, peasants. Get designing. So I'm gonna go over to Pinterest and try to find some sort of mountain climber-esque vibe. And it's important to me that I show you guys this entire process on stream, including gathering references, because if your concept sucks, your art's gonna suck. Sounds harsh, but it's just the truth. So get a cool concept. Funny enough, there actually has been a game that just got added to Game Pass, I think, Jusant, which is very much so of this vibe. I'm wanting to play it. I just haven't yet. And yeah, you're a mountain climber. But the vibes just look really cool and really chill, so I'm gonna grab a screenshot from this just because I thought it's so funny that this happens to be the request today. Again, it's not from this game, just like this is a game that happens to remind me of it. Is there one with the equipment? Here we go. Bam, grab a screenshot of that. And now we're in Pinterest. I'm just type in mountain climber and see what Pinterest gives me. Feeling brave today. Ray says, Mia, entirely unrelated, can you scale and move with the 3D gizmo on 2 locked axes at once? Not that I'm aware of, no. But you can like measure it. You can see a number that pops up on each axis. So just like 22 units of scale on the X and then 22 units of scale on the Y. All right, so mountain climber, it should have gear of some sort. Looks like they have like these straps that go like under their butt and around their hips. And then a backpack. Makes sense. That looks very mountain climber. So that means we can play with a lot of gear and fun stuff today. Lots of asset modeling. All right, we'll go with mountain climber and then see what happens when I type in D&D. Didn't change a whole lot. That doesn't read, that's not a mountain climber. Even Pinterest is like, nobody wants this. What do you mean? I'm like, I want this. As funny as it is to make a literal goat folk, I do not want to just make a mountain climber with a goat as a head. Sorry if I wasn't clear on that. They have little hooves. Like, I mean, I understand there are mountain goats, literally. We're not making a goat. Maybe a little goat friend that sits on a shoulder. I'll do that. Sater says, a rogue thief is the only one that gets free climb in 5e. A centaur rogue would get to climb at their normal movement speed. Oh my god, a centaur mountain climber is insane. I kind of love that. Shut up, Rudy. And Empress says, if goat person, they surely have legs and strength to carry a lot. I don't want to make a goat man. I shouldn't have even put it out there. Oh my god, even Pinterest is like, goat man? No. Okay, maybe. Wow, what is this? I'm afraid to keep clicking. Wow, it gets worse. Is that on my board already? What? Okay. I kind of love this idea of like this deer goat man now. I'll screenshot it. I'm thinking about it. Ray and Rudy need to calm down in the chat. Rudy, goat, damn it. I love it. Oh, that's fun. Can we just do this instead? Can I just be like, nope, we're modeling a tree. All right, sweet. Alo's almost done getting references for this. Alo's cooking. Beautiful. But whilst I finish it, then when Delia put in this meme, which is, I think, going over my head a little bit. Gnomes that seem to be falling down a cliff thing because it's not there. It's a reverse mountain climb? What? And then Aloha did share this abomination I just found on Pinterest too. Beautiful. Hey, Jack's here. Welcome back. Sater says to Google beast folk, specifically Warhammer beast folk. I'm afraid to do that on stream. Rudy also says no, probably just to me saying to calm down. All right. You said to Google it, and I'm not. I'm on Pinterest. Same time. Oh my god, that's actually excellent for what we're talking about. I shouldn't be surprised. Sater always has fantastic reference ideas. It'd be a hard pick between Aloha and Sater as far as... I don't know, you guys... Oh, that's so cool. Not what we're doing today, but I really like that. It looks like we're gonna make a goat man, despite my best efforts. I shouldn't have put that idea out there. Satyr, I told you. I'm being nice to you, Satyr. Yes. Wow, these are awesome, though. It's a mountain climber. I don't have to call it mountain climber. I think Aubrey will be really happy with whatever we make here, but especially if we make a deranged goat man. Oh my god. I don't watch ghost hunter stuff because I don't believe in ghosts because they're not real, but let's not even start on that in the chat. Anyway, no gods, no kings. That's close enough to a god. But what is that? Like, those two guys like do ghost hunting, but the one doesn't believe in it at all. And it's like the I dance on your bridge, goat man. Like, oh my gosh, this is like a deep memory that I don't remember enough to correctly reference. But if you've seen it, you know what I mean. The quote, I dance on your bridge, goat man. I swear, it's real. Jack says, what are you going to sculpt today? Well, I'm sculpting a Patreon request like every day, but today specifically is from Aubrey, and all they said was mountain climber. That's it. That's it. So we're making a D&D character, monster. I don't know. It's very rare that I'm given so little direction. Usually I get people that are like, this is my player character. I've had them for 30 years. They are me. I am them. I want them to have 2 belts, 1 pouch, and 3 strands of hair in this specific orientation. And then I kind of like follow... I give them the general coolness of it. Ray says, I would say ghosts are very far from God. Let's not go there. Rudy says, I remember that one. That is a fond memory. Okay, good. If just one person in the chat knew I was talking about, that's a success. In the meantime, I'm going to grab my beginning ZPR and I can kind of show you guys what that process looks like. So I'm able to create things pretty quickly because I have this like kit bashing approach. So here is like my starting models. I have a male and female, and then I have a bunch of bits and bobs I've made over the years. Everything that you see here was made for a specific character. I don't just sit down and make a bunch of assets one day. Like, some of them are pretty obvious. Like this was for like a jester that I made. Hence jester, Pat, pretty obvious. Other ones are more general. A lion head, yeah. But it's polygroup, so I can actually like make the mouth move and cool stuff. But yeah, that's how I'm able to create stuff pretty quickly. I try to get through a request every single day. It's fun to have big, long projects, and I always do have one of those cooking in the background, but for my daily streams, I know it's the most helpful to show you guys something like start to finish. Reaper, me currently going through a ghost phase. Ghost? Wendeller says, Chimera Climber. That way you can have goat and non-goat head in the same model. Like it's a 2-headed, that's horrific. Oh my gosh. Would they talk to each other? Like would the goat talk goat? Or like, I'm just curious. I don't know. Them like baaing at each other. What do goats do? Sheep baa. What does a goat do? They kind of like bray. Ray is still in their vampire phase, but like Castlevania vampires. Not well, really anything else. Castlevania is fantastic. Jack says, that's great. Isn't that a cool? They bleat. There we go. Yes. All right. I am 90% sure that Alo is going to grab something goat related. In the meantime, I'm going to throw in the references that I grabbed. We have one from the video game Descent, which I have not played yet, but I'm going to. For some reason, Discord really just does not want to upload images today. For why? It thinks about it, and then it like spits it out. Sad. Here, let me cancel or quit Discord and then reopen it. And in the next 5 minutes or so, we'll go. Okay, Discord's not working for anybody. Cool, that makes me feel better. Yeah, Satyr, I read that comment and I was like, you're gonna want to reread that comment to yourself. David said, okay, thank God, it's Discord, not me. Okay, so Discord laughs at all of us. Well, then I can't get Aloa's references. Sad. Aloa, you can always email me like it's the olden days for the references. Or just put it in a Google Drive link even, and then upload that. Oh well. Well, Loa was able to upload something, and so was Wendelier. So maybe it all falls on you guys. You're the only ones that can put in references. You're the chosen ones. Sater's like, don't forget my comments. Alright. I'm not going to wait any longer. Let's go. We're going to go with the male base mesh, just because I'm probably going to make it beefier and whiter. You could make a group on Pinterest, that's true. And when Wendelier says to explain the Far Side comic, mountain climbers often explain they climb mountains because it's there. But these guys can't climb because it isn't there. I knew it was dry humor. Love it. Alright, we're going to go ahead and grab these goat legs because, well, sounds like we're probably going to make a goat man. Again, this early stage here is this kind of fun kit bash. This will take about, up to 10 minutes, usually like 5-10 minutes, and then we refine the shapes. It's a fun time. All right, we have goat man legs. We're just gonna stick them on top of this model for now. I'm gonna lower this to the lowest subdiv and delete the highest because I wanna really modify the topology quite a lot, and it will not let me do that if I have subdiv. A reminder and a PSA, if you try to delete a subtool that's in a folder, it deletes the whole folder. So make sure your folder is open if you're trying to delete stuff. Or just don't use folders and be a heathen like me. All right, I'm gonna upload these references apparently just to myself, and then I'll probably not have the Discord on screen for once, which is what an odd day today. Discord says no, you can write text like a peasant, no pictures. That's okay. We'll go old school here. I used to have my references on the left side anyway, so I don't care. I'm flexible. I'll make it work. Go away. All right, so we have references on the left-hand side today, and I'm going to just move Discord onto its own screen entirely. Wow, this feels weird. We're Discord-less today. Just today. All right, here we go. If you want to send me images to reference, I guess you can email me. It's m3dmprints@gmail.com. All right, so whenever you have these little bars inside of your screen, that means that your canvas is not there, right? So I can't sculpt there. But if you want to fix that, just go ahead to Document, scroll this up so it's a larger size, and resize. Click on Yes. It's gonna make this look all weird and jarring, don't worry. Wait for it to autosave. Command N, click and drag one instance of your model, and then T, and there you go. You have successfully resized your canvas. When Wendelier says email, please, I'm actually not going to post my email in there. I don't know why I said that. Sorry. I'm not going to check it. It'll just be a peasant reference-less day. My mod can email me, though, because they're special, and they get special powers. Although, if you end up emailing it to me, just let me know in the chat. Yeah, Discord's having an absolute meltdown today. Be kind to it. It's doing its best. All right. I don't need anything else from here. We're going to do all of like the straps that make it look mountain climbery then. We'll see. I told Aubrey, I'm like, it looks like we're making a goat man. Aubrey said, goat man. Okay then. This is what happens when you're big. I like this reference so much. that we got thanks to Seder, that's probably the one I'm going to follow the closest. Yeah, lower, there we go. That you guys can actually see it. All right, any other pieces I need from here? I don't have a goat. I made a Krampus last year. I can take the head off of that. We'll have Krampus goat. Looks like we're going to make a lot of this from scratch again today, which I swore was not going to happen for the third day in the row, but here we are. Aubrey says that instead of collecting strawberries, they should collect salt blocks because goats crave that mineral. Beautiful. That is our legendary requester that made this happen. This is going to look really stupid for a long time, and then it's going to look awesome all at once. And then Sayer says, poor forgotten Jersey Devil, which I also cannibalized Krampus for to create. All right, I'm going to show you guys what we're talking about. We have a Jersey Devil that I made sometime last year. Turned out awesome. Check him out. Gnarly. Yeah. And then we took this head from another model that I made earlier, which was Krampus. Oh, no picture for you. I didn't upload a render for that, and I'm not going to go find it. No problem. Let me see if I have the Jersey Devil ZPR still. Nope, that would be too much to ask for. We'll just download this model then and chop it up. And then a reminder for anyone that's new and lurking and stuff, everything we're designing here, the whole point is that it is 3D printable. So here's the digital render, and then here is the 3D print. It is this big. Yeah, turned out awesome. Seder says, did you know that elephants will find salt caves and scrape it off the walls with their tusks? That's really cool. Hey, that 1-3 artist is back. Welcome back. We're making Goatman today because the request was really vague. It was mountain climber. And I was like, you know what? That's not very high fantasy. So we're going to make it a goat. Yeah, the internet's falling apart today. I'm not sure why. Discord doesn't work for anyone in my chat right now, pretty much. You can't upload images. And then even my Streamlabs bot is just taking the day off, apparently. Which is fine. All right, I'm going to cannibalize some of the pieces from my Jersey Devil that I made last year to use for the horns and the head. I might make new horns for it. We'll see. I'm just going to boop, take that head. I don't think I need the rest of this. No. Delete. All right, this is going to be an exceptionally ridiculous kit bash phase, which is my favorite. I call it kit bashing because it kind of suits the community here, but essentially it's a block out. Awesome. This is probably one of the worst looking early models ever. I like it. These always have the biggest glow up. And this is all going to get done on stream today. For better or for worse. And that 1-3 artist mentioned, yeah, it's not just a server. I'm having issues sending images to my friends too. That sounds right. Nah, it's all of us. Seder is chanting for Centaur Goat. No, too much work. That 1-3 artist says, does that model take up a lot of space in the drive? Because is that a joke? Because like it's Jersey Devil. I'm trying to think. If that's just a literal question, the answer is no. But if it's a joke, it went over my head. I feel it like there's a joke there. All right, we're gonna get this roughly centered in my scene, and then mirror and weld. Whoop, that wasn't centered at all. Went the wrong way. Other way. Come here. It's not pretty, but it works. All right, this is our block out. Be amazed. We're gonna adjust my scene too, using my scene macro. It just changes my lighting and makes the background a little nicer to look at. Though honestly, today I'm not feeling this background. There's my color palette. Let's go with a darker color. feeling dark. There we go. Now let's scoot my lighting over to the left. Kind of a bounce light thing going on. Cool. And then obviously for the base, we'll have to have like rocks. That one 3D artist said it was an actual question. Okay, then actual answer. Yeah, not very much space. I think each file is like 20 megabytes. Not megabit. MB. Anyway. Let's go with a forest base for now, and then I'll put lots of rocks on it. Nope. Ray said, centaur in scene. I can mirror and weld these legs to make a centaur. Not even close. Not even close. The front legs and the back legs of an animal are not the same. I like the enthusiasm. We're not doing a centaur. Centaurless. Alright, where are my bases? There we go. Something with rocks. Rocks, grass, dirt, master. I don't like this one very much, but that's okay. It's just to have a starting point. These like purpley burgundy legs are killing me. God. All right, we'll get some rough poly paint on this, and then we'll have our first screenshot of the day, which is a very early starting point. Not the most inspiring start, but it's gonna be awesome. You just gotta trust the process. Or don't. Just come back in like an hour and be amazed. All right. Got some color on here. It's a little muted, but I'm happy with that. All right. This is going to be our stage 1. So the way that I time all of this is I have like, I think it's 2 hours set. So at the bottom of my bar there, I have that little beer mug. It is slowly sliding its way all the way to happy hour. So that's how I used it. It's kind of like a timer for me to see where we're at. So we're very, very early. The beer mug has just begun its journey. Oh, sweet. Aloha did email me. Oh my god, these references are fantastic. Alright, I have to show you my email because Discord's being a lunatic. Here are the references. Oh, I love him. Not doing a turtle, but I can use a lot of that still. Sweet. We can go more of a demonic style here. More of a humanoid. I'll be doing a blend for sure. And then this is just charming. I just love this. His shell is a beehive. That's incredible. Alright. Thank you, Aloha. We're going to put those references here. And then tomorrow will be normal. You guys can put stuff in the Discord and I'll be able to see it. I do have Discord up still. It's just not serving a purpose today. Womp womp. Aloha says, and just imagine Ricky checking the work email in the other room and getting hit with references of the Goatman references. And then Ricky, that's my husband, just tunes in. That's exactly what happened. Alright, let's get cooking. He looks ridiculous. All right. So how are we going to make this cool? I'm going to show you how we're going to make it cool. First thing we're going to do is start getting these proportions correct. And we can go with like muscly goat man or more like this lanky demonic look here. I think either could work really well as a mountain climber, just having that kind of like nimble, agile look. Could be, again, very, very stocky to like jump off the mountain, or like, again, this very nimble and more of a careful approach. Trying to think of how I want to approach this. Do I want him to be like Scout Goat or Lanky Goat. I'm liking the Stout a lot, and I like how we're gonna go with Stout because that's gonna give me more volume and more room to add all of the gear and like the mountain climbing aspect of this. Taylor says something about the goat-headed man really freaks me out. Satanic panic. You never know what you're gonna see in today's stream. Yeah. Lois says I say we ship him as he is. I think Aubrey would love that. Amazing. Hey, non-sleepers here. Hello, hello. It's been a bit. Okay. We don't need any of these detail pieces for right now. We need to fix this everything. First thing I'm going to do is split the hooves into their own piece so I can really kind of get in there and adjust these volumes. We're going to be poly painting as we go. Nothing too crazy. It's really just for the stream because when you 3D print, it doesn't print in color. We're going to hide the base right now too. And then what kind of color scheme do we go for? I like these warm tones here quite a lot. Let's go a bit more reddish. Too red. Less saturated. There we go. I do like this color. I just want it a little darker. And we'll need to make them cloven and all kinds of stuff. I really don't need to fuss with the actual volumes of the leg too much because we've been covering them in a lot of gear. I just need the overall proportions to look aesthetically pleasing. So let's make these legs a lot thicker by using Move and Backface Mask. Same with the feet. They need to be much larger. And cloven. To make them cloven, you can do a couple different things. You can use a knife brush, you can mask. I'm going to use the knife brush and see how it does today. If you're not too high poly, or if your model isn't, the topology isn't too goofed up, it does a pretty good job. It is sensitive whether you go counterclockwise or clockwise. So notice that when I went clockwise, it keeps whatever is clockwise, and then it'll remove when you go counterclockwise. So there you go. Little knife brush demo. All right, and then we can kind of adjust the split right here too. Sater says, Mia, if you care, I probably do, it's actually really important for the mountain goat's hooves to be split. Is this not split enough for you? No, I'm joking. That one 3D artist says, the perfectionist in me wants to unify the hair in the middle of the legs. Where is it not unified? Because this is mirror and welded right now. But yeah, no, he's a hot mess right now. And not in the hot way. Alright, let's start roughing this up, getting some cool proportions. Man, that one 3D artist, you have perfectionist in you. That blockout face must be painful. But I know you're a super talented artist, so you push through. I love to see it. Not here. No perfectionist vibes here. Just gotta embrace the mess. I say as I like cry a little inside. I've never met an artist that doesn't have that perfectionist streak in them. We are all like that. I come up with like little funny metaphors and stuff to remind myself to stop being like that. Like it's like if you try to eat a cake before you bake it, so it's just like flour and raw eggs. It's like, you stop it. It's not done. But I can't help myself. You're like, you. All right. We're gonna get rid of his weird little goatee for right now, because again, this is just grabbed from another model that I created earlier. Want to clean this up. I'm gonna split the horns too, so I have as much control over the model as possible. And I'm probably gonna create different styled horns entirely, honestly. I like these ones a lot. And I can show you guys how I make horns. I watched a video from, I'm blanking on her name. It's on YouTube. I think her name is Carolina. She's really cool. She's awesome, very talented, has a great video on how to make horns really quickly. In a nutshell, you just make one little segment and then you make it really tall and then you can bend it. It's really cool. That's how I made these. I'll make sure to actually grab a link to that video and share it with y'all, because if you're not familiar with her, she's awesome. Funny goat man. I got some weirdness going in the volume to this face. Like, I don't know why it's so pulled out. It really should be more like this. And then we're gonna have a much wider nose. Okay, we're not working on the head right now before I go down that rabbit hole. Goat hole. No. All right. Foxy says the cost of perfection is infinite. That sounds very foreboding, and it's true. It's true. If I do a really good job with this base, I'll probably save it, and then I'll have Goatman base. That'd be beautiful. Hello, says Mia, if you look at this from the front, are you really going to deny the golden opportunity to venture down the centaur route? Look at him, it's perfect. Why are you guys so passionate about centaur? No. That 1-3 artist says, there's a line going down the center, respectfully, in between the legs. I must be just totally blind. Like, topology-wise, like here? Because I'm not seeing that. Oh, this? Yeah, it's like I mirror and welded it, because I just grabbed it from a different scene. Respectfully. I don't know how fuzzy I want this to be, because there's gonna be a lot of changes happening here. All right. Can't get too distracted. Mia's getting distracted by her own stuff. I want this to be a nicer blend. You know what? It's not gonna matter. I'm gonna cover him in a bunch of gear, so we're not gonna worry about it. Okay. I do want to broaden his shoulders though. I just make him look kind of cool and tough. Kind of following this, and they'll go in with all the fur and whatnot. So even though this is very made up and not real, there are general guidelines and proportions that you want to follow. For example, like the tips of your fingers generally fall at the half point of your legs. So right now, he has tiny, super short little arms. We'll fix that by grabbing the transpose line, toggling that with Y, and then click and drag. That's a bit better. Again, they're guidelines, they're not hard rules. This guy still is very not real, but it just makes things look more aesthetically pleasing if they do have some roots in reality. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this neck. Probably just make like a big, like, fluffy mane. So let's go ahead and resize this. Yeah, that's cool. And it kind of looks like really thick neck muscles. Improvements are happening. That 1-3 artist says, yeah, the basic forms are a delight until you start looking at the silhouette, and that one shape is that 38.7999 degree slope. It needs to be 40, and you need to fix it. Yeah, that sounds traumatic. Hello, says, remember guys, for arm's length, the character should always be able to comfortably cover their private area to save from embarrassment if needed. That's also a funny little thing that I've heard before too, that yeah, they should be able to do this. Like, why is it not working? Oh, there we go. You get the point. That 1-3 artist says, if you look at it from the bottom view, you can still see the line from the pelvis to the tailbone. This seems to be causing you physical pain, and so I'm gonna leave it just for you. We're gonna help you grow. What is that? It's like improvement isn't comfortable. All right. Let's start getting some gear on him, or maybe what kind of horns do you want to create? Because mountain goats, they actually do have horns like this, I think. Or those rams? You know, I can't remember. Of all my references, I didn't grab a picture of an actual mountain goat. There they go. Okay, yeah, they're straight pointed back. We can go real dramatic and round, but they're usually a bit sharper. Wow, they're not the cutest goats, are they? That's okay. How are their eyes so high up their face? Holy goodness, I would have sculpted that wrong if I didn't look at it. Doesn't mean I'm going to do that. It just means on today's episode, if I don't know what anything looks like, and you probably don't either, so use references. Like, that's a handsomer, that's an objectively more handsome goat. You know? Yeah, like those proportions don't freak me out as much as this. Like, all right. I am going to grab this anyway, though, because that's hysterical. Let's throw that in my references. It's a bit more majestic. That's kind of what I have going on more so right now. That 1-3 artist is crying. I'm sorry. What kind of goat do I want today? That's a cool goat. I like that. All right, I got some ideas. Hello, says, yeah. On today's stream, Mia rates how hot different goat variants are. There's different levels of appeal. Not like in that way. I mean from like art. Okay. Sater says their snouts have to be long and wide to A, pull enough air from the thin atmosphere at the elevations, and B, to warm the air before it gets to their lungs and core. That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to say they look silly, but that actually makes a ton of sense. I didn't think about that. Just breathing in like frigid air would be a bit painful. All right, these horns are way too curled. So I'm going to just replace these horns entirely, and I'll kind of show you guys how I do that. I think I've literally just named it Horn Starter. Yep. Looks like I've already extruded it. And by extruded it, it's just repeated, like very densely repeated. Wow, very dense. That's why it's a rainbow. All right, I want it to be a bit longer here, and then to look a little nicer and more varied, you can turn on mask by poly groups to 100, and then grab your standard brush, and you can start coming through here and really start adding some variety to each of the volumes. Let's go from the side view. Because when it's all exactly the same, it doesn't look as nice. But the reason why I don't have my horn starter already sculpted like this is because I do it a little different each time, and that prevents my models from looking too samey. I feel like there should be another section right here. There it is. I was gonna say, I'm missing a piece. Come here. Nope. Oh, I was using the pinch brush. That explains why it wasn't moving. So I can use a standard brush, or I could even use my Move Topological brush to kind of scoot and push things around. I'm really just kind of adding breaks in this so it looks a little more organic, which usually means asymmetric or a little messed up. That's good enough. And then we're gonna go with mirror and weld, so it's the same on the back. Oop, that's not where mirror and weld is. There we go. There will be a seam on the side. You can smooth it out. I mean, no, it's there forever. Low key, it's kind of there forever, unless I sculpt more details on it. All right. So you're like, wow, that's a dumb looking horn. Don't you worry, it gets better. So you kind of position it. I usually position it roughly where I actually want it to be. Somewhere like right here. And this is the cool part. Make sure your gizmo is somewhat centered, and then click on the little gear and bend curve. From the get-go, you're only gonna have 2 different nodules. It doesn't really, or nodes, it doesn't really let you do anything. But if you click and drag on this, check it out, we have a new dot, and I can bend from that. Pretty cool. So there you go. By default, try not to get too excited about it and put too many nodes all at once. It just makes it kind of difficult to work with your shape. Just like sculpting anything, you want to use as few polys as possible, few deformations as possible in the beginning so it doesn't look overworked and kind of lumpy. So I like to kind of find my start and my end point And then from there, maybe I'll add some more nodes instead. That way it kind of keeps it more simple. I actually didn't decide on a horn shape still. I just knew I didn't like how curved these were. Probably gonna, I don't know, something like that. Then something else really cool is that you can taper it too. So let's kind of push this forward. Add one more node. Because obviously horns aren't just the same all the way through. They do taper. So if you hover over these, you'll see, look right here, that little box. You're not gonna be able to read it probably, but it says, there we go, in this box, scale, squeeze, which just means taper. So yeah, every single one of these little cones you see, they all do stuff. Pretty cool. And then you can change the axis on which all of this stuff is operating on too. Because like, for example, I have this, it's a little wide. Let's kind of scoot you up. Then once you're done with your deformations, you can just click accept and then go back to sculpting like normal. Let's click mirror and weld. Nope, that's on the z-axis. Just mirror and weld on the x-axis would be fine. And then we can delete these horns right here. These kind of have their own problems, truthfully. But I like that there's something new. Oh gosh, they look so blobby right here. So yeah, it's still gonna require some cleaning up and some adjustment. But it's a really cool way to make horns really fast. Yeah, I actually don't like that very much. So we're gonna do it again. I think it's because when I was initially sculpting this, kind of showing you guys how to break up those shapes, I broke them up a little too much. So instead, we're gonna go back to where we're at when the demo gets away from you. And I'll probably add those breakups and forms once the horns are already done. I just want to make sure that you guys knew how to do that because it's really cool. All right. We're doing the thing again, but this time without so much instruction, so it won't take very long. I also don't need this many sections, so I can go ahead and delete a couple of those. Beautiful. That one for yours. But wait, there's more. Pretty much. And then Taylor says, will he have a trident with goat horns for the prongs? No, he is a mountain climber. Emperor says, Mia, I must have missed it, but would it have been too much work to try and edit the current horns? It's just not a great workflow because the mesh is already like decimated and welded together. Yeah, just don't do that. Don't do that. Just make it from scratch, usually, rather than overworking it, or grab something that's more conducive to being worked. That makes sense. You absolutely can do it. It's not a very workflow friendly way to do it because it's going to fight you in the end. We don't want that. Here we go. That's looking much cleaner than my first result. I was like, oh, he's ugly. Got a small curve right here. All right, that's better. Oh no, too thin though. I'm just gonna move back face mask, get that volume back. And then using a move topological brush to kind of mess up some of these forms. And I'm just clicking and dragging, not really caring what polygroup I grab onto right away. There you go. We got horns that look much more intentional. Neato. The trident would be the goat. No. Ray says the sass and oh, he's ugly. He just needed a little help, a little shaping. All right, back to the body. Like this topology is really rough and whatnot. But I'm probably gonna replace it with a different shape later anyway. So I'm not as concerned about it. The horns, I knew if I'm gonna take the time to shape them correctly, I want to just have it correct right from the get-go. I don't know what I want to do with his hands. I know I want them to be a lot bulkier than what they are right now. But I might not, if I have him holding like a weapon, then doing a bunch of sculptural work on the hands is not going to be worth my time, because it's just going to be covered up by a weapon mostly. So for now, I'll just kind of bulk them up a touch. Kind of making them look a little skeleton-like almost, and then inflate. All right, let's put like a belt on this man. It's looking odd. All right, a really easy way to create a belt is using the curve strap snap brush. So that's what we're gonna use. We're not gonna have symmetry turned on. I find it easier just mirror it if you like the shape you got. So the curve brush is really cool, but it can be a little finicky. So if it doesn't give you the result you want right away, just try it again. Like don't give up on it. Click and drag, holding shift. That's a pretty nice little result. So I'll go split mask points, and then let's decorate this belt a little bit before I copy and paste it 100 times. To do that, I'm just going to insert a couple of edge loops and extrude them. There you go. And then this inner edge here that's not beveled very nicely, you won't see it very often, but when you do, it really does affect the overall like aesthetic of the model. So it is worth putting a little bevel on that. All right, that already looks a little nicer. It looks like my Streamlabs bot is starting to recover a little bit. It just posted my Kickstarter link with no context. That's fine. Bray says, you know those grappling hooks that kind of have like 4-pronged anchor? Yeah, that would make for a cool weapon on like a thick rope or something. That would make for a fantastic weapon. Remind me of that if I forget. I'm gonna type it right here. Just type in grappling hook and hopefully I remember what I mean. 4-prong anchor. I should remember what that means. It's pretty descriptive. Cool. I can't see it, but I typed it behind my sign. It's a secret note. I haven't decided what else I want to do with this belt. How belty do I want it to be? How much hardware and whatnot. I'm gonna bring in some buckles. I find it easier to like detail it once and then copy and paste it everywhere, and I can delete assets from it as I need to, as opposed to individually detailing every instance of the belt. We're making a lot of considerations for 3D printing here, so you'll notice like pretty much everything that I bring in, I give a little inflate right from the get-go. It's a much shinier color than I meant to. ZBrush is kind of being a little slow, just a tiny bit, and it likes to do that before it crashes, so we're gonna call this mountain goat, haha. Taylor says, Mia, if you can't have a trident, then maybe you can have an ice axe with a horn for the sharp end, or the 4-pronged anchor, like Ray was saying. I'm very interested in the grappling hook idea. So yeah, probably will do that. All right, I'm gonna duplicate this belt and then grab a little section of it. Let's see if I can grab a nice little section. It's a little chaotic. Just trying to make a little section for like the piece of the belt that like overhangs. You'll understand what I mean just a second here. All right, close holes. So I have another little section of the belt. And then I can just use my move brush to create that excess. There we go, that looks nicer. Now as far as how this is gonna like sit in the belt, I haven't figured that out. I think the excess is going the wrong way right now too. I can flip the belt later if I need to, or the buckle. Me looking at my own belt, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, no, the excess would face the opposite way. That's what I thought. That also doesn't make sense. Why am I so confused by a belt right now? Foxy says you could make him a mountain rescue goat. That's cute. Sater says, I like the idea of having a weapon that looks like the sword you have on the abolitionist, but as a shadow blade in the sickle shape. That's awesome too, and like the Khopesh they have, that is very like mountain pick climber-esque too. Yeah. All right, it's enough with that. The belt is not going to stay here. I just wanted an instance of it so I can copy and paste it a bunch of times and kind of figure out what I want to do with it. All right, so hold Command-Shift-D as your hotkey to duplicate, or you can just click duplicate. Either is fine. So we're gonna add a bunch of gear. He's gonna look like a barbarian, but I do want some of this to look, you know, functional and mounter climber-esque. So we're probably gonna add a lot of like excess rope, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna just rotate this so it sits on the shoulder a touch better. And duplicate this one more time. Lower my pivot point and just kind of stretch it. I'm not even sure where this one would fit. Maybe I can fit this under his arm, and like having like a bunch of like loops on it too, they can kind of like hook into. You can make his clothing just belts. That sounds like a nightmare. Taylor says, Mia, after the weapon, maybe give him overalls with those large round studs like Thor for buttons on the straps. Oh, that could be cool. Yeah, like those like medallion things. I know what you're talking about. I don't think I like that second belt very much. Let's duplicate and mirror. I'm always a fan of just the classic cross belt thing. This buckle doesn't look as good right there, so we'll just move it out of the way. Looking at like actual mountain climbers and stuff too. I mean, he's not going to need like full-on gear because he's a goat, but like... I'm going to bring in a plane and start creating some sort of drapery cape thing. Go with bend curve. Because I really like this concept, really everything about it. Taper, not that much of a taper. Relax. I mean, we're not pressed about clipping issues or anything like that. That can all get cleaned up later. What's most important is I make something cool. I appreciate all the creative ideas in the chat so much. I'm thinking about all of them. So even if I don't implement your idea right away, I'm cooking. Go ahead and mirror this. I think it's going to fit better on the other side. Thinking, I can duplicate and mirror this again. Shorten this other one up. Yeah, we're just playing with like layers and shapes and forms right now. Let's go with a, it's probably time to introduce a color for him because he's all like brown. I like to have like an accent color. So if he's on the brown side, I usually would go with like a bluish gray, something to kind of counter that. make that a bit darker, a little more desaturated. And then for his legs, we're gonna have a lot of belts. Crazy, I know. Never saw it coming. Again, the technique for this is simply just using a curve brush and then holding down shift. It should wrap around your mesh. Because all like these mountain climbers have this like harness that they kind of sit on. I'm kind of breaking my rule and not detailing them right now because I really just want to see what this character is going to look like before I do too much more work. I'm starting to visualize it a little bit. It's coming together. I'll probably create like a tabard of sorts too. I'm going to bring in another plane for that. You'll notice that I work really like single-sided polys and until the very, very end. I find less polys, less problems. Kind of go with this like tribal look that he has. Satyr says that this bluish color could be the color of the frozen sky as he gazes out from his mountain perch. Scenic, poetic, I like it. He's a goat, so I'm not like actually really covering anything right here. It's just decorations. There we go. I like how strong and like confident the shapes are in this leg. I want to do the same kind of thing. I got this kind of like a little bit of mumbling going on right here. But you know, I guess it's not mumbling yet because I really haven't worked on it a whole lot. It's just underdeveloped for right now. We're creeping up on almost the halfway mark. Made some pretty good progress here. He's starting to actually look like a thing. And not just horrifying. there's some charm coming through. I need to do a lot of work on the body still. Let's start working on the body a little bit. I'm going to use my clay brush. And really just huge back muscles. I mean, really just going to be super muscly everywhere. I'm building up one muscle group at a time, keeping it very low poly. Don't want to deform the deltoids too much. There we go. Here's a tricep. That's right here. Bicep. And then this underside stays quite, what's the word? Flat still. So there's no bulge group right there. The forearm's always kind of a trickier muscle for me, but I'm getting better at it. Don't want to lose his elbow. That still needs to stand out. And then I'm probably going to cover a lot of this body with fur too. All right, let's bring up his pecs. I tend to like to add volume like in the direction that muscle would go. So these kind of have the striations that work out like horizontally. The anterior serratus muscle kind of sits right behind the ribs. There's usually 3 of them. I feel like I only have room for 2, so we're gonna just do 2. Goat man is already an abomination. All right, we totally lost his clavicle, which is your collarbone. So let's go ahead and bring that back. I use my damn sander brush and hold down Option so that way it brings up volume instead of carves it in. It kind of sits over here. Roughly. All right, his muscle is looking muscly. I'm gonna say his body is looking much more muscled. To really write home that mountain goat aspect, though, I feel like the gear is going to be really, really important for that. If I can start adding some backpacks and pouches and stuff. I have quite a few of those I've made over the years, so I can start kind of just like tacking them on and experimenting with the flow of this character. All right, this is a bunch of backpacks all piled up on each other. Let's try that. I don't want him looking too pack mule-esque, but we'll see. Because like he's got a huge pack, a lot of them do, and I think it's cool to kind of lean into that. I'm gonna take the rope that's on here too and exaggerate it quite a lot. Maybe just loop it up on itself a few times. Ooh, that's an interesting, what a weird thing that happened there. Okay, we're good. There's a tiny little chest at the top of this that does not suit this character, so I'll go ahead and just Command-Shift-Click, and that will hide polygroups. Once I've hidden everything that I want to delete, you click Delete Hidden. Oh, I've got some weird topology stuff going on there too. Nope. There we go. Yeah, covering this character in different gear is gonna look awesome. Right, I knew you were gonna say that. Sater says, what if instead of an X belt, he has something more like a, what? Lederhosen harness. Allow for some pouches and such on the front. Yeah, harness would be cool. I'm down for that. This is just kind of what I have on here right now. I don't know what that word is that you said, so I want to look it up. Lederhosen. Oh, like suspenders and then like a pouch across the front. Yeah, that'd be very cool. I'm open for that. I like that they crisscross in the back, so what I'll do is I'll merge down and then I'll cut the back. So whenever you mask a section, and then while it's still a mask, hold down Command W and make a new polygroup. So it's not a new subtool, it's within the same piece, and then you can, a really good way to kind of manipulate things within a subtool. All right, I have that cross strap still happening there, and I can continue it with my curved strap snap brush. It's twisting a little bit and acting a little funny, so we'll select the body and then it'll behave a little better. I say as it like twists all up on itself. Why are you being so mad? Let's go ahead and change it from continuous Z to once Z so it won't try to follow the contour of the body. So it's gonna like sit in the body for a second, which seems worse, but trust the process. It's gonna look cleaner and better. I'm gonna use my transpose line and then just rotate it out. Where are you? In there somewhere. Sater, I think you're the second person that recommended something suspender-like, so it must be done. There we go. And there's like a pouch across it. Hey, Foxy's able to share an image in Discord. Has Discord healed? Ray, no. I like these a lot because it just fits the whole Nordic vibe. Mountain folk. Let's grab this pouch. Let's change the color a bit so it actually stands out. I don't know what other things I want pinned to his chest, but I don't want them to all be just pouches, so I'm thinking. What does it look like if that's just like down the side? What is going to look the coolest and make sense? Because having dense details is necessary, but it depends how all your other forms work together. Hey, new sub. Thank you, Drac. Yeah, good German outfit going on here. I like it. All right. Still working on the things. It's looking cooler though. All in due time. So many belts. Every character is just an amalgamation of belts and pouches, I swear to God. Alright, I'm going to split the head off from the neck floof so I can really start to change up that topology, because right now it's pretty busted and doesn't want me to work with it. So this is not sculptable on. See how rough this these polys are? And they're not even very dense either. So what I'm going to do is Dynamesh. And you're like, ah, that looks worse. No, it's better. And it's better because look how even those are. I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't like rig ready by any means. That's not the goal here. The goal is for better sculpting. So I can Dynamesh that. And there we go. Now that we're higher res, actually probably higher res than we need to be, let's drop down. But a bit more even, I can take my move brush here and start really deforming this mesh and getting some cool results. I like using the move brush to really quickly block in floof. I find it works fantastic. It's a little finicky. It's very sensitive to how your camera is looking. So if you grab your move brush and you try and you're like, wow, this sucks. It takes a little bit of a feel for it, but I swear it's like, when you get it to work, it's really cool. So I'm using the move brush. I angle it from like roughly straight on to where I am wanting to add a floof, and then I hold down Option, which is Alt on Windows. And there you go. You got some floof. And then from here I can go through and really add some denser fur detail. When you get to the center line, you really should add floof outside of symmetry. Yeah. All right, I do want to add more floof down his shoulders and stuff because he looks so goat head on a man and it's weird. So we're going to fuse it together by adding a bunch of fur down the tops of his arms. To do that, we're going to mask it and then extract with a little bit of thickness. You guys know when I make fabric and clothing and usually stuff like that, I don't have thickness, but this is one of the rules, like exceptions to the rules. Whenever I'm making fur or hair, I do like having a little bit of topology to work with. We want to make sure it doesn't obscure like the silhouette of his arms. So you'll see what I mean. When I'm starting to add like the floof in this case, I'm actually going to make sure it especially floofs out wherever there's a muscle change. So like at his deltoid, bicep, in those creases, I'm going to do my best to not lose them. You know what? To make that even easier for myself, I'm actually going to use my standard brush, or damp standard brush, and just carve in some lines. That way it blends a little better, kind of hides in the skin. You don't get that weird top seam thing. There you go. All right, that looks less weird. Very good. Satyr says, Mia, you do love your belts and straps. Yeah, I kind of have to, because characters. And they are fun, you're right. I love my job or something. All right, now we're floofing just like before. Just using the move brush, kind of rough up these shapes, and I can really start playing with what the silhouette's gonna look like too. I don't know if the floof would cover the straps. It would definitely sink in on top initially. I don't know. I think this looks weird. I'm thinking about it. He's gonna need stuff on his back too. Yeah, Satyr's put in a monster from Marvel Heroes. I don't recognize him. It's like the Hulk, but yellow and covered in fur. Yeah, that is helpful. Thank you. All right, kind of just like draping fur on this guy. That's why I haven't like fully detailed the body yet, because I don't know how much I'm just gonna cover up with fur anyway. We try to work smart around here. I don't know how I feel about this insane back hair moment. What's going on with this super thin mesh? No. We're gonna use move and back face mask to thicken that up. This is why I work with single-sided polys, because they don't hurt me like this. There you go. Again, I'm doing this pretty messy. There's a reason for that too. It's because I don't know if I'm even in love with this idea yet. We're just trying it out. So I'm doing just enough work on it so I can see what it's gonna look like. If I really like it, then it'll get the love and care and attention that it deserves. Until then, it needs to prove itself to me. As you get better and level up in art, you'll be able to like look at things and just like know if it's gonna work or not. Like these arm things, they look weird. I tried to keep the muscle silhouette on them, but the way that they're flowing with the arm is not very aesthetically appealing. I think it's because I have too much arm showing per hair. For now, I just know it's not working, so bam, go away. I think that's gonna be a back hair moment. It's gonna kind of create this like shoulder-like cowl thing, and then I'm going to add hair. Nope, I'm gonna do nothing. I'm gonna add hair on the forearms. ZBrush doesn't like lots of rapid little clicking and tapping. It gets its feelings hurt. It doesn't like being rushed. Rudy says, this looks sick so far. Thanks. ZBrush didn't think so. Let's try again. What was even over here? Oh, this was scooted over. Yeah, ZBrush, you quit unexpectedly. It's okay. You know what? Since Discord's working again, I can go ahead and bring that back. Oh, Discord's stuck at the top of my screen. No. It's one of the downsides of having lots of monitors. You'll get stuff that's like right on the edge of your two monitors and you're like, wait, how do I move you? Sweet, thank you guys. We are so back. Yeah. There we go. Now I have like double references on both sides. Oh god, it's so cluttered. All right, we're gonna reshuffle really quick here. Almost done. All right, everything is back to as it normally is. And I'm going to move a little slower so I don't offend ZBrush. Yeah, that looks cooler. It doesn't help that I'm giving like the body a very normal human flesh tone. Let's tan him up a little bit. That helps. You have to be careful when you poly paint in your concepts, and like I usually will toggle poly paint on and off more frequently because it can make stuff look better or worse than what it actually is. Right now I'm simplifying the color palette just a touch because I am no color whiz by any means. So if I find stuff's looking a little bit muddy, I limit myself to like 2 colors. I find it makes my life much easier. Beefcake Berry. That's a fantastic name. Changing the color helped a lot. And then once we make his pose a little more like stout, so it's okay, like his proportions and the way he's standing, they make sense. But when he's actually moving in the world, he's probably gonna be a little more like hunkered over, you know what I mean? More like shoulder heavy. I think that's gonna help a lot too. I'm very happy with how this character is coming out though. We've kind of had the turning point. I am starting to see the light. So instead of giving him normal bracers, it's just gonna be fur. I do think my lighting is looking a little muddy. It's partly due to my poly paint decisions, but let me give some better shadows on him so I can see what the heck I'm doing. There we go. Bump you up a little bit. Still dark. No, too pale. This is so sensitive. Oh my god. Alright, we're gonna click scene to reset myself because now I broke it. Alright, I fixed it. And now it'll be easier to move my lights around to where I normally have them. There we go. Still very dark. That looks good. Preview shadows are fine. Adjustments, let's go ahead and bump that up. What material do I have? It is skin shade. Why does it look like one of them is behind the light though? You are behind the model. I knew it. Okay. That's better. There we go. Aha. Even brighter. Alright, that's nicer to look at. It makes the before shine like the sun, but don't worry about it. Bray said, you still haven't made the macro for ideal lighting. You can't. Not everything will bind to a macro, but it does most of it for me. All right, adding some more fluff. We are more than halfway through. Remember like an hour ago when I'm like, if you think this won't look any better, either trust the process or get out. No, I'm just kidding. I was just like, oh, come back in like an hour, it's gonna look cooler. Now is that time. It is looking cooler. I like this much better than that weird top fluff arm thing I did. That works better in 2D. Like there's certain things like when I sketch it, like with a pencil and not in 3D, like it looks good, and I try to make it 3D and I'm like, it's not doing the thing. This is looking pretty cool. All right, we're missing some like key anatomy on the feet. And whenever I'm working on stuff that is like an anatomy change or something that I don't do very often, I usually just go for more subtools. I find that makes my life a lot easier. So just like horses, there is a little area here. It's called the pastern that I don't have right now. I just kind of smooth the whole thing down. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it off into its own mesh so I can really have control over this little transition area. Gonna Dynamesh that. Because again, there's gonna be like a big blob right here and then like a skinny little transition area. Look at that awful topology. Lord, Dynamesh. Sweet. Now it looks bad in a different way. Nah, but it's workable now. That's what we like. Then we can add a little bit of fluff on the back here. These hooves are kind of a travesty too. They just need love and attention. And they will get it soonish. Maybe right now. Oh god, that made it worse. But we're in the right direction. We're construct. Sometimes it looks worse before it gets better, but you need to construct the things. All right. What is happening here? There's a lot. This line. There are different joints, and I've made them into one smushy joint. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's correct. It's like a femur, and this little transition area got a little weird. It should be shorter. There you go. And then this should be pushed forward quite a bit. But at the end of the day, there should be a nice straight line right here where it bounces on that weight. Little cloven feet. Oh, they're so small. It's so cute. It might be easier just to take one subtool and then flip it, each one being 1/2 of the clove. Sater says, sorry for the foot pick. Sater, I don't imagine you'd be white. And like, you know what I mean, like Snow White. Foxy said, for the record, I made my comment before she said that. Oh yeah, you did tag me. Mia, I think the pose is maybe part of the reason why it's goat head on human. Ah, same brain. I love it. Very good. Eat. So yeah, this is looking stupid for a couple of reasons. Again, it's just a big game to spot the difference because these are tucked too far under. Let's hide the base. And then yeah, I like this reference from Seder a lot. Thanks for the feet pic. Shouldn't say that. All right. Because I can just treat it as two separate pieces entirely. I think it's going to make my life a lot easier, and then they'll be nice and symmetrical too. I can really treat it as a hard surface. Check them out. Ridiculous behavior. And in case you guys are wondering, like, why are you guys, why a goat? I'm like, because mountain goat. And our prompt was mountain climber, and I'm like, bet. All right, I'm not going to make a mountain climber. It's lame. So we made it a goat man. Wow. That's incredible. And he doesn't even look bothered about it. What is he even trying to, like, a little salty piece of rock or something? That could not have been worth the effort. I guess it wasn't that much effort. Can't relate. That's incredible. Oh, more feet pics. Thank you. Yeah, they're so much farther apart than you would expect. So this is one of those interesting moments with art where creating something too realistic will make it unappealing again. So you kind of want to strike the difference. I learned this when I was sculpting a reindeer. You want to see some dumb feet? Reindeer feet are ridiculous. If I just sculpt the foot perfectly accurate, people, I promise you, you'd look at it and be like, that's not right. So it's kind of making things appealing, but as accurate as possible at the same time, without just straight up being 100% accurate. Wow, I'm having a hard time with these feet. Thank God I have references. Little feet. Okay, that's gonna work. Raise move and back face mask to kind of build up this curved volume. There's a line that I'm missing here. It's supposed to really bring that point down. I know that seems really small and finicky. I swear, when it comes to hard surface, it matters. I mean, I'm not approaching this as a normal hard surface piece. I'm kind of doing this mishmash of like sculpting and modeling at the same time. All right, use a pinch brush to kind of get that shape. And then we're going to flatten it too, just to kind of save me some effort. I don't mind if it's making it a little sharper than they actually are. Maybe that's not a good thing. Yeah. It's okay if I want to make changes, but they have to be on purpose. And that wasn't on purpose. So let's go ahead and widen that up a touch. All right, I have 1 foot-ish, 1 toe. I'm going to duplicate it, mirror, and squeeze it over there. Aha. Nice foot. And don't pay attention to what is happening with these legs right now. We're not done. Hey, Yoni's here. Hello, hello. Hey, y'all. Sorry for being late. No problem. Also, I know it has come and gone and passed, but you had a weekend birthday, which means we didn't celebrate on stream. And it was the weekend before last. And then I was going to like bring it up on Monday, but then you weren't here that day. But I hope you had a really fantastic birthday, Yoni. All right. Yeah, his feet are still having problems. You know what I should have done? I should have done a curved tube and then just tapered it. That would have been so much easier. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, he says, oh, you remember. Thank you. Of course, of course. Got very dark feet. Not purple feet. Ah. These are very purplish. Let's move over to a blue tint. Nope. Red tint. Yes. Yeah, he says, I worked that day, but then went out and got Korean barbecue. Oh, fantastic. Well, good. So I'm gonna get that man some birthday poing. All right, these feet. Oh my god. Someone send help. They even got more nonsense going on that I just haven't even addressed yet. What is... Oh, it's its back foot. Cool. I thought it was like a third toe. Nope, we're good. Okay, it's not as stupid as I thought. Ah, what is happening? Oh no, I did a stamp on my page. That makes me sad because I want to keep this abomination. I don't know how to keep that. That's okay. We don't need this abomination. Womp womp. Ugh. Okay. So a couple things here. One, I'm just going to deal with 1 foot at a time because doing this in symmetry for some reason is breaking my brain. And then I can use like my taper effects and whatnot. I'm going to treat this the same way that like, or I think I'm going to treat it the same way horses have like, thank you, Aloha. Man, I complain and you solve right away. Thank you. The same way that horses have like that fur and like not fur, like those, they call them feathers, like the long hair, like Clydesdales, big draft horses. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of go with that same style right here. Mostly to cover up these abominations that are legs and to, but also to create an interesting shape. I'm gonna make them a lot taller, it just looks better. And I'm gonna come through with my damn sander brush and kind of like mark out these lines on the legs, almost like as construction points, because I'm like, what is going on here? There's a joint there, there's a joint there, that's a little section. Okay. So there's a bone there, joint, joint, bone, bone. Okay, so something that I'm doing wrong here is there's so much distance in front of the joint. Like that's fine, that's fluff, I get that. But this should actually come in a bit more. Okay, I can do that. Yeah, kind of makes it a little more tidy too. I know it sounds like I'm oversimplifying things at times, but like it really is just a big game to spot the difference sometimes. Or spot the similarities. Just use a reference. Always be referencing. You're not expected to know what everything looks like. I also find that when in doubt, it's probably a gently tapering triangular shape. Like 9 times out of 10, I swear. So same thing here, like this quad muscle, essentially, I just have like sucked straight in, which is fine because like I get that there's fur, but it wasn't that intentional. I was just doing it because I wasn't sure. Okay, that's looking better. I don't think his tail's gonna be visible, and if it is, I will just sculpt a new one. So, no tail. And then let's kind of scoot that up, I think. Or not. I've seen different ways of doing that. Alright. Legs are legging. He's looking much more intentional, which is what we're all about here. Yeah. Feet. Remember, abs, always be referencing. Yeah, I'm gonna take this little screenshot here. I'm gonna screenshot the screenshot. And I'm going to make it big. Because I lost my little stamp. Say it. ZBrush, would you move over? Ah. Alright, fine. We're gonna scoot you over this way. And then this way. Because I think it's fun to have that work in progress point, and I know it's so important for my students, my mentorship program, to see it. That's like, no, like my art looks like garbage at first too. It's not garbage, it's just not done. So don't quit. Don't quit. Look at him. Awful. He's gonna be creeping out over here and watching as he transforms into a cooler looking thing. I hope that's helpful for you guys to know, honestly. Like, And then sometimes I don't figure it out. And that makes it an even better stream, honestly. Just creeping right there. But if you're just joining, like this is where we started the stream. That's the end of my kit bashing stage, which takes like 5-10 minutes. And then now we're here after a couple hours. It's kind of a, you know, kind of a hunk. We need to add more rocks. So many more rocks. I have this handy dandy rock brush that's like incredibly high res for what I do, so I'm definitely not going to keep 90% of this resolution, but it's still a nice rock. Like the bottom of this is really high res and I don't need that. So I'm going to use knife rectangle and just clip the bottom of it. Make sure you have perspective turned off, otherwise it's going to, you know, cut through it at perspective. At perspective. At an angle, that's what I was trying to say. There we go. Beep. Sweet. Rock. Sweet. We have a rock. Let's add a couple more. I'll flip over to the top view here and kind of just sprinkle some rocks, rotating as I go, and then I'll see which ones I actually want to keep. Why is there a line on the bottom? No, I'll deal with that later. See which ones I want to keep. I actually don't like any of them. Just kidding. Not keeping any of them. That's a nicer rock. There's like a really ugly line on this one. I can use my H polish brush and just like stop. Or I can just grab a different rock. That's what they're actually going to end up looking like by the time that I'm done with them. There we go. See? The base isn't extremely important, but it's worth, you know, deserves some attention. And then I think that this blade of, or this thing of grass is hiding my favorite rock on the base, so I'm gonna just delete it. There we go. Reference of a rock for you, Mia. It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I know you guys think this is funny. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. You guys have the lamest humor. Forge says, feels like he needs an electric guitar. Funny you say that because I have done a Seder request that was Prince inspired. So, man, talk about niche. I'm going to zero mesh by half on the legs here too. Just make sure I have like this really clean form that's not hiding behind floof, because we've been doing a little bit of hiding behind the floof right now. Making my bass guitar. No, I've literally done this already before. I'm gonna show you guys. I have a normal one. And then I have a, there it is, Modern Seder, Prince inspired. This is a weird request. This is the cursed poly paint version. Yeah, no. There we go. See? This has happened. I have done this somewhat recently. 2 years ago. Recent-ish. This reminds me of the goat demon from Berserk. I still have not read Berserk. I don't know how I have not read it still, but that's definitely praise because Berserk looks awesome. Goat demon at your service. All right, I'm really happy with these legs. These actually look a lot better. Still haven't figured out exactly what he's going to be wearing and all that kind of cool stuff. I think I'm going to start adding a bunch of rope to this character because he needs some sort of secondary texture. Not chain. That was a weird Freudian type. Rope brush. This is from Bad King when that existed back in the day. I'm afraid to unhide that, Seder, so I'm not going to. Unless you explicitly say so. Someone thought it was funny and then removed the reaction immediately. That makes it even scarier. Oh, it's back. Ray's being timid with their laugh. I don't know why. Alright. I don't know where to put rope on this. Let's do like loop it up on his side here. And see how that looks. Just like lots of rope, you know? Okay, I'm even more concerned. I'm gonna read it on my phone, just in case it's not stream appropriate. Not that you guys are ever stream inappropriate. Yeah, I cannot read that on stream. It is funny, but no. If you want to know what stupid jokes Seder just made, join the Discord. Or not. That's actually not a great reason to join the Discord. Alright, we looped up some rope here. Just do some loops. That looks good. I feel like that looks bad. No, trust the process. Just grab your move topological brush and then you can scoot it. There you go. So it like layers. And you can respect the volumes of each piece. Lots of rope. That joke rocks. This is why we had to have a Discord server for you lunatics. Foxy says, Mia, you're the least stream appropriate of all of us. That's not true. I am the stream. I can do whatever I want. And with that, Discord invite. Beautiful. Okay. We're gonna go like Super Saiyan mode because I did not finish this character in the time that I was supposed to, but I can get it detailed right now. I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes. And I'm gonna ignore you guys for a little bit. Mods, watch the chat. Mia's gotta do some work. But if there's anything I do during this time, the next 15 or 10 minutes here, it's only 10 minutes, you guys will be fine. And if you guys are curious of like, wait, how'd you do that? Like this is a flipped normals brush. You can ask me and I'll answer it during happy hour. Where do these pecs go? There they go. Ah, these move in the exact opposite way than I would expect. That works too. It's kind of gross. Oh, you can't even see it. That's okay. Getting those tertiary details in here. Not tertiary. This is like secondary. You know what I mean. Yeah, Sitter. I am the law. Exactly. And this is not like muscle texture at all, but it's weird and lumpy and gross, and I think it suits him. The actual brush I'm using right now is called Kneecap. So there you go. Oh, does that make me a villain? Oh, I guess so. No, I would be the least villainy villain. I'd hurt someone's feelings and be like, I take it back. I think some very weird forms here. Really gonna exaggerate the elbow. some weird striations on his hand. It looks kind of like fur. Yeah, I'm not mad about it. So again, I'm using a combination of brushes here. Also because he's covered in fur, you know, so I don't want this to look... I mean, he's a goat man, for God's sake. So there's lots of things that we're going to do here that are a bit odd. Okay, I look over for the chat for a second, and I see Paint saying, oh no, it's hot. I love that trope. And yes, I am the stream. Thank you. All right, we're gonna add some fur detail. Can you stop exploding? Oh, I did a terrible job in the base mesh, that's why. See how like this is dense-ish and this is not dense? So now, hey, new sub, doing something right. All right, thanks JH. When I subdivide then, let me just show you. I'll just show you. That looks pretty decent. Like you can see details that are arriving, right? But when I do it here, it looks terrible. And that's because I had such an inconsistent lay of polys from the get-go. Very easy to fix. Do not worry. We can just go with ZBrush by same, and that will give us some more even quads. And you have control over this thanks to adaptive size. Specifically, it says, adaptive slider allows the creation of non-square polys. But more specifically, puts a greater emphasis on the model's overall shape rather than rigidity and distribution. Yeah, that did make a lot of sense. I need to find a way to say that to you guys in English. Like, I understood that, but I'm having a hard time explaining that. Moving on, we're doing fur detail. I'm doing my little, like, Super Saiyan mode to get this detailed in the next 6 minutes. So sorry, sometimes the teaching goes out the window for a second. Why are you acting like garbage? Don't worry about it. Thanks. Yoni. Hi, YouTube. I can see you guys still. It's not like you have no rules now. There we go. I don't have to get this pose prep ready for character creator. I'm not going to put that much on myself. But notice that I'm not just tacking this fur brush on top of a perfectly round mesh. I'm doing some of the heavy lifting here because otherwise it doesn't work very well. And by that, I just mean creating some secondary forms for that fur to lay on. Hello, hey YouTube, Mia banned the entire chat, so now we're locked in the Discord basement. No, I said I was gonna try to get some work done, and then you guys immediately are like, hey. God, it's that episode of freaking Family Guy where Stewie is like trying to get Lois's attention. Just like, Mom, Mummy, Mother. That's what you guys are doing right now. Like, you're fine. Oh, goodness. That looks messy, but better than nothing. I have to ignore both chats. I have chat on my left and chat on my right. It's okay. I can ignore both. I'll be back in five minutes. This doesn't blend with his body super well, but damn it, it's still cool. And I can go through later with some adjustments and blend that seam. Okay, I won't worry about it quite yet. Why is this not the same color? I clicked fill object with RGB intensity 100 and it's trying to tell me that these two are the same color and there's just no freaking way. Or just like one of those weird color theory moments where it's like, oh, well it's next to a gray so therefore it's blue. Man, I get so much done when I don't read the chat. Just quits live streaming right then and there. Nah, this is too much fun. Even, like, I joke. Oh, sorry. I just bopped that with my head. Nope. That looks good. In case you're like, ooh, this fur brush is cool. Where'd you get it? Flip normals. They got all kinds of cool stuff. Alright, I've got 2.5 minutes to detail these legs. Let's go. Not my first rodeo, so I have some ideas of what kind of textures I want to use. I look over for a second and I see that Yoni found that found that gif I was talking about from Family Guy. My music stopped. I can't work in silence. What am I gonna do? Listen to myself talk? Go insane. There we go. It's happening. God damn, this looks so much better than, what was it, 10 minutes ago. Alright, I want this to look not so stiff, so I'm going to just run through it with my ZBrush to... Why are you not working? I don't have time for you not to work. There it goes. I'm going to like remove some like little partitions out of it. It's going to allow me to make like a tattered look pretty easily, I think. Alright, delete hidden, and then I can use my move brush to rough this up a little bit. And then last but not least, adding thickness with dynamic subdiv, which is like the coolest thing ever. Check that out. It's awesome. Oh, I forgot about the side of this. Okay, we're gonna go back really quick. I totally have time for this. In case you're wondering, like, why am I rushing? I don't know. I put an arbitrary deadline on myself to get this detailed in 10 minutes, and so that's what I'm doing. If you don't make life feel like a video game, what's the point? Again, this is for 3D printing, so I need to make it really thick and dramatic, but I can make it less ugly through the power of bevels. Bevel, edge loop complete. Oh, did not do what I was hoping. That's okay. I can just keep clicking. Oh no, I'm out of time. That was 10 minutes. Well, we made a ton of progress, so I'm happy with that. And we still have a little bit of time on the Tavern Keeper's Craft. I see that I have a couple minutes. This is so cool. Check him out. When I started this stream and it looked like this, how many of you guys thought I was just absolutely cooked? Be honest. Be honest. You're not going to hurt my feelings because I've done this hundreds of times. There's nothing you could say that I haven't said before to myself. Foxy says, Mia, we listened to you talk, and look what happened to us. Sater says, Jesus, first she claims she is the stream, and now she's telling us she speaks with the voice of an elder god. When did I say that? I must have missed that myself. Where he says, Mia, you did it. Good. It looks good. I did the good. Thanks, Torvin. I appreciate it. The hubris on this woman today. I was going to make a joke there, but it came across as crunchier than I thought, so I'm not going to say it. But you're right. Sayers calls BS. He's like, I hurt your feelings yesterday by saying that I trusted you. No, all I read was that I read like 2 messages back to back from you that were like, wow, this looks bad. And then it was like, usually I get it, but this is just bad. And I was like, that's how I read it. It's definitely not what you said. You know, I was just having a sensitive day. I'm just a woman. Okay. Stater says, scroll up to see my M3DM. Okay. Just ditch the rib fur. No, I like it. Oh, I missed some detailing there that I wanted. Yeah, like this thing that goes down his back. So it looks like this. Ah, it does look better. No, because then he's like whiter. I can do the same thing by moving his actual rib cage. Let's see. I'm undecided. I want some little striations here without having to do it myself. Okay, I want it to be kind of ribbish, but not so insane. So I'm going to do a little bit of a mask here, and then use this rib brush, but make it really not intense. And let's see if I can get something that looks cool without looking monstrous. But yes, yeah, that does some of the work for me. Neato. Just kind of looking for a noise to fill this area, essentially. Also, I want to detail this really quick because it's really not going to take me very long, and it's going to make it look so much better. Bevel this on top too. Sweet. And then I should be able to extrude a line there. I just don't want it to blow up, so I don't have a nice poly loop to follow as of right now, so I'm not going to try. Instead, yeah, Lats. That's a really good reference. The original Red Bull, for real. Alright, I'm just going to extrude some lines here because I think they look cool. That's it. That's the plot. These bands, I don't know what they do. Just think it looks cool. And I want some here. There, cool. It looks very hard surfacey, which I realize doesn't fit this model, but never fear. I got plans. I'm going to subdivide a few times. Ooh, I don't like that. Guess I'm gonna hit crease first. I have a problem now. No, it's fine. Alright, I'm gonna subdivide still, and then add intentional looking fabric folds, as opposed to not intentional looking fabric folds, using my standard brush. And I'm gonna use pretty much like a pipe folds drapery look for the whole thing. I'm just using a standard brush for all of this. I'm giving it a like thinner fabric appearance than it probably would be. Probably more like a leather. But I'm just a fan of this kind of look right now. I don't like that I didn't have it bunch anywhere. One second. It's okay if it looks even-ish, but it's got to be intentional. There we go. There, it's kind of like pinching right here. Foxy says, the best problems are the ones you make for yourself. Oh yeah, I love making problems later, like future Mia problems. That happens every day. There we go. This has been a ton of fun though. What a like goofy character concept. Because well, it wasn't a goofy character concept. It was super open-ended, and then we picked something that I thought was a little ridiculous, and I ended up really enjoying it. I mean, I guess I knew I was going to enjoy it. I just didn't know how cool it'd turn out. Today's reference star of the day, it's probably got to be Seder. Followed. I mean, it kind of had to be though. It's like one of the only ones actually made it through. Gonna add a little bit of weathering now by using this alpha. Neat. All right, that's going to be we're at the end of our time here. I have to stop working on it at some point. Easier said than done. I have so many cool ideas I could continue with this, but I'm happy with what I got done in the amount of time. So I like using, here's a kind of a cool trick. If you use paint, the paintbrush, with drag rectangle turned on and backface mask, you can kind of use it to like paint on ambient occlusion. Just like go where the shadow is. There you go. Isn't that cool? Insert some edge loops and then extrude just a couple of them. These, I do this a lot, this like just putting in edge loops and extruding them, because they paint really well when 3D printed, even when this is super small. David says, Mia, I have not been paying attention. If I had a quarter for every time you say that, David, are the belts, you can just ask the question. You don't have to preface with, I wasn't paying attention. Are the belts and stuff single-walled for the pose, or did you thicken them? Which belts? These belts are single-sided. These do not exist. See? Whatcha? Gone. Not real. These ones are all using the curved strap snap brush, so yes, there is thickness. And then Foxy mentioned, if you are in my neck of the woods, it would be cool to meet, but to be totally honest, I act up a lot on Discord. Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to be as spicy in person, and that's totally okay. But at some point, Ricky and I are definitely falling out to just that general area. And I know a handful of you are all within the same hour or two radius, and it'd be super fun to go get brunch or something. Which I got. Hey, new sub, Dauntless. That is just a fun word, but I'm curious if you're just a huge fan of the game Dauntless. I thought it was fun. You know, considering it's a free game, it's kind of like a Monster Hunter Lite. I enjoyed it. This turned out really cool. It was a huge trust the process moment. But you guys can kind of tell, like, the panic I do on stream is very much so, like, it's just for jokes. I have full faith that it's going to happen, which I guess is not faith then. Oh, no God, sorry. Breaking my own rules all the time. But yeah, I've done it so many times that I really trust the process. Because I guess I believe in myself because it's turned out well so many times. That's why I harp on a lot of my students of like, just create more, just do things more. And like that confidence is going to come because you're going to prove it to yourself. Unless you have like really bad self-talk, then maybe not, but it will help. That's way above my pay grade. Moving this around so it looks cooler when it's painted and dry brushed. Now let's add some ridges on these horns as well. Cool. Sager says to Foxy, like, I get that, I feel that. I class myself as an introvert that has taught myself to be extroverted. I get you. Part of the reason I don't show up here is because I don't really talk to anyone out there, which is totally fair. I mean, God, especially, I mean, now, like, I talk to people in real life, I guess you would say, pretty often because my neighbors are awesome. But especially when I was still living in California and between going to college or just like, I don't know, my neighbors just really kept to themselves. You didn't really talk to anyone. I mean, I'd go days without talking to literally anybody. And if I did, it was just Ricky for a bit before I went back to studying, which was a weird time. It was a very weird time. I'm very happy to be able to host a space like this to have you guys like come hang out and have a good time because I don't know, it's fun. And it's less exhausting than being there physically in person. Because at any point, you guys can just like walk away. Like you can't do that in normal conversation. You can't be like, neat, leaves. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Sater mentions, I mean, I'm pretty much the same person. It just takes me a while to warm up to people to let them see that side of me. That totally makes sense. All right, I'll be going on break pretty soon here. I am so happy that after the kit bashing stage, he ended up like this. As Paint lovingly said, oh no, he's hot. Your guys' comments bring me so much joy. Hey, Rodolfo's here. Hello. Yo, are we minotauring today? I hope your stream went well. I enjoyed the bit that I grabbed because I am like a ZModeler brush noob, so I'm really excited to watch that after my stream. If you guys missed it, Rodolfo did a stream today. I mean, he streams all the time, but you guys should watch. That's on. I put it in our Discord, but yes. And then apparently Ian streamed yesterday too. I totally missed that. But if you guys are not already following the Maxon channel and also just their personals, you really should. But yeah, so today's prompt was from a long-term Patreon supporter of mine, and their name is Aubrey, and Aubrey usually has these like really detailed, like cool requests. The context is important, I promise. Like last time it was like a ranger, a chef ranger that grabs her own ingredients, so I made it a rat folk. They are swinging with a frying pan. It's just a super fun character. Today the request was super dry and unusual. It was just mountain climber. That's it. Mountain climber. That's it. They get no race, no class, nothing. So we made a goat man, because who's better at climbing mountains than mountain goats? Yeah. David says, Mia, joke's on you. I leave IRL conversations all the time in the middle of them. You just like walk away? Oh, I could never. I kind of love the gutsiness of that. The people pleaser in me could never. I would feel so bad. And then Rudy says, yeah, this is Beefcake Berry. Yeah, a little bit. He just kept getting musclier and musclier. Like, he started off fairly toned, and then, yeah, he just kind of hulked out by the end of it. I'm most happy with the Digigrade leg thing that I figured out. This is that base mesh I had that I made a long time ago. And looking back, I'm not gonna crap on old art. I'm better than that. But it needed help. Anyway, and I think that we made quite an improvement. These forms are a lot more confident. Alright, it's also got a cool backpack thing. There's still more work to be done here, like always. But it's pretty cool. Let me go ahead and get like a little splash page thing. I haven't figured out what kind of pouches and weapons I'm going to give him. Probably some sort of pick, ice pick-esque, or like a grappling hook. We'll see. Alright, we're going to do a little turnaround here. So when you're doing like little splash pages, what I call them, just like showing off your model, to do the little stamp, it's just Shift S. So you can think Shift S for stamp or S for screenshot. That's how I remember it. And like always, a unpoly painted version too. But yeah, not bad for a couple hours, especially on a... I just cannot catch a break this week. I swear, usually I'm like, oh cool, we're gonna make like a normal little straightforward model. But no, it's like, bam, sculpt a snake from scratch. Don't know how to sculpt snakes. And now it's like mountain climber became goat man that needed the whole thing resculpted. My favorite was the plague spreader from yesterday, which was, oh, it was so much work. That came out great though. I got to use a lot of new techniques, especially Z-Sketch. So that was fun. Hey, that 1-3 artist said very cool model. Thank you. And we don't have that terrible center seam line that was killing you, or at least now you cannot see it. And then Rudy, we have a couple of different conversations happening here. Some about Goatman, some about deeper stuff. And Rudy mentions, I'm comfortable with a handful of people at this point, and I prefer smaller circles, more meaningful relationships that way. And I prefer it. Yeah, I'm the same way. I've never had, like, lots of friends. This is the closest I've had to having, like, a ridiculous amount of people that I am friendly with. But yeah, usually just, like, one or two. Outside of, you know, like my grandma, my dad, and my husband. They don't count. They're family. Ooh, that 1-3 says, if you had to make a mad scientist, how would you go about it? Well, this is kind of a cheap question for me to answer because I've already done like 3 different settings. But that being said, I like giving them like a flavor of some sort. And I'll actually show you the ones I've done. Some sort of like a mad scientist in what specific world. So I've answered that twice now with different prompts. One of them is a... Oh, I don't have a picture on here. Oh, I'm so unorganized sometimes. It's just with my Kickstarter collections. Anyway, but then I also did like a ghost professor, essentially. So I can't show you the steampunk one quickly until I grab that. But yeah, here's like one of my mad scientist approaches where this is actually was a request too of like all of his experimentation is leading him to become his own experiment almost. Because again, nothing better than having upfront or personal data, I guess, to record first-hand account. So yeah, you can kind of see that he is starting to disintegrate into like this wisp almost. This was a really fun one to do. And then yeah, my other mad scientist is really neat. I just can't believe I don't have a render on that. Here it is. So this one I went with more like a Doc Ock approach almost. He has like some sort of canister on his back with presumably some weird alien egg, human egg baby thing. And I'm not totally sure what he is using these to manipulate from, but I'm assuming that it's almost like a Tesla coil-esque, giving him power. Yeah. Mad scientists are just, it's such a fun prompt. You can go with like so many different flavors. My usual favorite flavor is more like that fantasy, like that ghost professor, but the steampunk one is fun too. If I was going to make a brand new one that I haven't done before, I'd probably go like full horror, so grimdark, and going more of like a chimera effect where some, you know, I think like Full Metal Alchemist, you know, something kind of like that. I think that'd be really cool. Rudy, I love this. Rudy says, agreed, I left a friend group recently and came to the conclusion that they're superficial. I felt they needed me more than I needed them. It was time to leave them. I love that because it's the opposite of it's not you, it's me. It's like, it's not me, it's you. I love that. Good. Lots of love for Full Metal Alchemist in the chat. It's one of the few anime I've watched. I usually read manga instead of watching anime. As I put it, I have a very small tolerance for anime nonsense. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's the yelling. It's the non-stop yelling. I'm like, why are we yelling? I don't understand. So I tend to like anime that are much more serious, or I just read it instead. There's the scene that I'm talking about. Yeah. Horrific. And with that, I'm going to go on break on that friendly note. It's currently 4:10 Eastern Time. I'll be back at 4:30. I'm going to go eat a bowl of cereal. So that's in 20 minutes. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you're having a good time, great. Like, subscribe. That's the easiest way to find me. And then when I come back, it'll be the start of happy hour. This is when I answer all my student questions. Even if you're not in my mentorship program, you can still ask questions. I'm an open book. All right, sweet. I will see you guys in 20 minutes. Bye. Hello and welcome back. It is time for happy hour. This is where I review student work and any other questions you guys have. So if you have any question for me about 3D art or how I got into this, general questions, feel free to ask. Alrighty, let's get started. Right, from the get-go, we're gonna jump in just from top down. This is gonna start with Ray. I think they're already in the chat, but I'm gonna go ahead and just give them a timestamp anyway. All right, Ray says, I still need to watch that wing video you sent me, but here is where they're starting. And that's about how I would start that too. Also, this is looking really good. Having that outline, and then you're gonna bridge these gaps. I recommend using quad fill. That does a really good job. So curve quad fill. Wow, this is looking really good. Ooh, feet are getting some definition too. I really want to take a moment here and show off to everyone the head improvement. So this is kind of where we were at before, and I mentioned like it could be a lot easier if you took this and split it into the top and lower section. So splitting it right at this midpoint at the jaw, and that will allow you to model the inside of the mouth and teeth and tongue, all that kind of cool stuff too. And so we went ahead and did that, and I was pretty flabbergasted at what an improvement this made. Oh my god. The only nitpick I even had, which is it's from the front view, you have a straight line taper here, but really it'd be more of a vertical line, and that'll allow the cheekbone to poke out. So this is correct right here, but the way you have a fan out here, technically could be tucked in a little bit more, but again, the side view and the 3/4 view is so strong. This is such a huge improvement. It's a nitpick. I'm very proud of you. Good work. Up next is Empress. Empress says, good morning, Mia. I'm ready for the next assignment. The ZModeler tool sounds just like the workflow I learned when I first picked up Blender. Only difference that this is more tablet friendly. That's true. Very curious if this produces the same hard surface quality as modeling in Blender, though. Yes. For my initial use of Google Professor Google, people say ZBrush is not good for hard surface or box modeling compared to Blender and Maya. Very interesting for myself. It really depends what you're trying to do. I kind of go, because people on the internet are so wrong all the time. So like my answer is almost like, don't listen to anybody. That's stupid because I'm giving advice. You can absolutely hard surface model in ZBrush. Fantastic stuff. Again, a lot of people use Blender and Maya. It's like more like industry standard, especially with Maya. But yeah, no, you can absolutely model hard surface in ZBrush and get some fantastic results. And Empress asks, oh, I forgot to ask also, is there a way to around the destructiveness of it? I assume just having quick saves and a backup is the only way you can make a mistake that cannot be undone. About ZModeler brush? Oh, I understand, because like when you add or remove topology, let's do a little demo here. Alrighty, so we're gonna just go, let's clear our screen. And I'll come down here to initialize a Q cube, and that'll be great to just do a little bit of ZModeler stuff. I think what you're asking is if I extrude like a poly loop, like how do you undo that other than just Control Z? Yeah, because you can't like undo it like that. You kind of get like a weird result. Honestly, I don't use the ZModeler brush to its full capacity either, so I really don't want to give you a wrong answer. But I mean, you absolutely can mask it and then undo stuff. Here, made a clearer mask there. As you can tell, this is not my forte, but I'm gonna get better at it too. Yeah, I know what you mean by the destructiveness of it. Yeah, if you're making lines and making extrusions, just being able to delete that extrusion, I'm not certain. I don't know of a way to do it, but that doesn't mean there isn't a way to do it. Does that make sense? You could always just, as you're modeling, kind of playing with, your shapes here and trying things out, you could just save copies as you go, or even save them as layer deformations. Worth noting. Great question. I will research that even more and get back to you. Up next is Max. King Max. Alrighty. It's currently 19. Alright, sweet. Hey Max. I see you made some more progress here. I kind of gave that little demo yesterday of how to sculpt this shoulder thing like a moral mushroom, and you mentioned, I'm worried that now it looks more like a beehive. Not sure how to achieve a more obvious look. I agree with your point about driving the shapes more, but I'm not sure if I like the way this looks, and I did decide to change it to a moral mushroom. Sounds good, because what you had before, which I thought was a little nebulous looking, this is much more clear as a moral mushroom. I see that you softened it up again. You mentioned I'm a bit happier with this. I masked the walls rather than the holes to give a more organic shape. Technically, by masking the walls versus masking the holes, it's the exact same thing because you can invert your mask. So here's a little demo for y'all if you wanted to see how to do that kind of texture. You can just grab your mask brush, just a normal mask pen, and kind of create these like rounded triangle shapes. There you go. And then if you bring up your 3D, you can invert this by holding Command click, and then bring up your gizmo with W, put it in the center, so with that little location icon, and then hold down Command and click and drag on that yellow square, and you can get that kind of like moral mushroom shape texture. So what you did instead was you inflated the walls, which does give a different, you can inflate it or you can expand it, which will give you different effects. Yeah, well, whatever floats your boat. That's totally fine. I do think this looks more like a moral mushroom, but it depends what you're going for. It looks like the topology did get a little overworked right here. You have a little bit of tearing, which is fine. If you are just going for a straight up, go away mad scientist, not your moment, straight up moral mushroom, you can notice that the shape of them tend to be longer and a bit more tapered versus what you have here is like a straight up sphere. You can also kind of notice that the way that these cells are, so it's time for some secondary form studying. Instead of doing like the round triangles that I did, instead they kind of stack, they're like elongated rectangles that kind of stack on themselves upwards. And you're starting to find more of that shape here, which is probably why you like it more. So there you go. Also, I'm trying to work on the bag strap and it won't let me sculpt on the front facing surface, only the two sides. I've attached some photos to try and show what I mean. Lovingly, these photos don't tell me anything, but I've done enough mistakes in ZBrush that I think I know what you're talking about. You're trying to sculpt on something that has not enough resolution. Oh, here we go. Oh, I think I figured it out. I had to subdivide a couple times. Now it's working. Why is that? Perfect. Let's do a demo. It's because there's not enough resolution. So what Max did was he brought in like a curve strap snap, click and drag. Let's do it on the other side. So it's not all screwed up. There we go. And then Max came in and was like, I'm going to use my standard brush and sculpt on it. And almost like nothing was happening. Let's say they wanted to add like stitching detail. Nothing's happening. That's because there's not that many polys. You need more polys for more deformations. More deformations is a fun way of saying detail because that's what a detail is deforming the mesh. So by holding Command D and adding more subdivision levels, now when I click and drag, you'll notice that you can, let me make this more obvious, add little details like that. Again, more polys allows for more deformation. And that's why I say less polys, less problems. I work as low poly as possible because if you are high poly all the time, one, unnecessarily bogs down your machine. It's more prone to crashing, especially with certain brushes like the knife brush. But also you'll get more of this like overworked, lumpy look very quickly. If you go high res enough, let me bring this up to 1.7 million points. Brushes like your smooth brush stop working almost entirely because there's so many polys. See, like I'm using my smooth brush and like nothing is happening. But if I drop back down to what it was at 27,000 points, my smooth brush does work again. I hope that makes sense. That is a great question, and it's definitely one of those aha moments when you're first learning how to sculpt in ZBrush. All right, I think that's everything to review. This is not a student, that is a patron. I think we're set. All right, I don't know if I have any other things I want to work on. We've just started our happy hour here. We're only at the 3.5 hour mark. I say only, that's still a long stream. But recently my streams have been pushing 5 hours every day this week. It's been a lot of sculpting from scratch. Your girl's getting really tired. So I might end the stream a little early, kind of recharge, and then come back tomorrow nice and fresh. It sounds, I get a question about artistic like burnout a lot and how to handle it. And this is like a really cheap answer, but the question is not to get burned out in the first place. So when you feel yourself getting really tired at the end of a normal work session, just like chill. Especially if you're not doing this for a living, it's like a hobby and you don't have a production line to reach, like relax. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. If you do work, in an industry position or have deadlines, like for me, like I need models to make money. So I would like to buy a house one day. The way I do it is I just take smaller bites. So if I'm really feeling burned out, I will make sure I cook an especially solid breakfast. I am very well rested. Again, take care of like body and mind first, the best that I can. Probably meditate before I even start the stream. And then I will consider things in like 15 to 30 minute chunks. And just, instead of thinking I need to do a 5-hour stream, be like, okay, let's see if I can do 30 minutes. And knowing at any point if I need to, I can cut that short stream. Wow. Cut that stream short if needed. So there's some little art burnout tips, or tips not to burn out. Pro bono. Mary says, Mia, what was that drawing tool called? Do you mean the one that I used yesterday for the plague sphere? That would be ZSketch. Foxy mentions, a great way to not burn out is to hang out in the Discord with a bunch of supportive people. I love that plug for my own community. Why advertise when my community will do it for me? It's amazing. Thank you, Foxy. And then Ray says, for the kings, which is unfortunate that immediately there was a typo. Oh, wings. Wings. You could watch the video and find out. No, I'm totally joking. I will tell you. Boop. Let me bring up this again. It is curve quad fill. So I think that's what it's called. If not, it's very close. Oh, it is curve quad fill. There you go. So you can use this to make really quick wings. Make sure, so when you're using a curve brush, you'll see this little dotted line. That's because this is still like a live shape. If you want to get rid of that, just click somewhere on your mesh and it will get rid of that dotted line, which means this is now uneditable. It's still sculptable, but you're not editing with your curve brush anymore. There you go. Wings. Whatcha? Mary says, thank you. Welcome, welcome. And one more note about that art burnout thing, since I'm kind of on a roll talking about it, and I'm going to end the stream early, so here's some bits of wisdom. In the beginning, when I mentioned the best way to not burn out is to to recover from burnout is to not get burned out, which now sounds silly. Sometimes when you're trying to find like that happy medium, you might cut your days shorter than you would need to. Like I've definitely stopped a day early to be cautious, and the next day I was like, I probably could have got another hour or two in. It pays to be cautious though and really find out where those limits are rather than finding out by hitting a wall. It's much less painful. Highly recommend. Alright, yeah. Wing wacha. I'm saying that a lot today. Reminds me of cars. Ka-chow. Alright. We are going to stream again tomorrow, most likely. Definitely next Friday. That's when we're going to have a fun little stream launch party for my new Kickstarter. And again, if you have not followed that, you gotta. It's free to follow it, and it's so cool, and I'm really proud of it. Ricky and I are working on a video for it right now. But yeah, it's going to include all of these minis supported for resin and FDM, and they look super cool, and I'm really proud of them. There's a link in the chat for that. It's also pinned at the very, very top where the little fire emoji is of launching soon. I am so grateful of how many of you guys have already followed this project. There's 139 of you guys. Thank you so much. It means a lot. I've done 28 other Kickstarter projects, so it's not so much that I'm like nervous it's going to go well, or if it will or not. I know it's going to do fine, but it still feels good to have that support, and be able to create art and earn money consistently is definitely a blessing. So thanks for being part of that. All right, I don't think I have any other questions from students or from peasants in the chat. So I'm going to move right on to the last call. This is kind of just like closing out the stream here. The big highlight of the day was working on this goat man. I have a little early work in progress from the beginning of the stream versus the end here. Turned out awesome. Gotta make sure I save this. Mountain goat. I don't think I have any goat folk. So I do have satyrs and like minotaurs. I don't know if he's gonna go in my character catalog or my bestiary. Probably in my character catalog because he looks sentient. Yeah, okay. Well, sweet. If there's not any other Turned out goated. Thank you, Rudy. Well, sweet. If there's not any other questions and stuff, I'm gonna call it good. It's crazy to me that 3.5 hours is a short stream for me now, because this used to like absolutely exhaust me. So I'm building those stream muscles. Let's go. All right, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. There's a chance I won't stream tomorrow, but it's unlikely. So bank on me streaming tomorrow around noon Eastern time. And if not, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys Monday for sure. All right, you take care. Bye.